What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got for you 3 hours or so of some of the best Reddit stories to relax to or sleep to. These stories come from a variety of subreddits and you're gonna absolutely love them. I've picked out some of the best ones of 2026 so far. So without further ado, let's get straight into them. Sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you do go on to enjoy this one. Let's go. I regret believing everyone when they said don't date from work. Everyone suddenly believes you don't date at work. Don't poop where you eat. You're a loser to do it. But swiping pictures for hours is totally normal apparently. The judging looks you get from friends and family for telling them that you like someone from work. We've been working together for 1.5 years and I've liked her for that same amount. I believe she liked me too. When I started telling my friends, it was a total joke to them. You don't poop where you eat. Soon, even the folks at work started saying how terrible of an idea it was because I think it was obvious that I liked her. The older generation said that I should trust them, and the female colleagues warned me about harassment. It terrified me that I would harass a co-worker. So, last Christmas party, some of us decided to continue the night after the office party. She looked amazing, and she talked to me the whole evening. On our way to the bar, 2 of my colleagues warned me that this could end up very badly, with her being all over me. She wasn't. She's very shy and polite, so it must have taken a lot of effort to want to stay close to me in spite of everyone around us. Don't waste your energy, don't do something stupid and ruin your work environment. Monday will be awkward if you do something stupid. I ended up avoiding her at the bar. She looked puzzled, but she understood the gist and sat with the female workers instead. Then, a couple of girls at the bar started to chat with us, and my colleague encouraged it. He was the best wingman. I ended up leaving with one of those girls. I felt my colleague's eyes on me when I left. She never talked to me again. Never looked at me once. She's been very polite and kind as usual when we work together, but she never looks at me. Her smile in the morning when she says good morning is not the same. Of course, it was for the best, according to the believe me I know people, but why doesn't it feel that way? The work environment I was supposed to keep safe feels unbearable now. I should never have listened to anyone but my heart. I could always find another job, but feelings like these are hard to come by. I just wanted to vent somewhere because I can't really blame my family, friends and colleagues for my actions. I'm just bitter. Let's jump into some comments. Somebody said, until you've had a work relationship go bad, you can't have an opinion. And frankly, it sounds like you have nothing more than a strong crush on this woman and barely know her. Feelings actually aren't hard to come by if you're putting yourself out there. OP replied, it's not just a crush, unfortunately. I'm speaking about myself, of course. Maybe it is easier for some people than others, but having genuine feelings for someone is hard for me and doesn't really come easily. Now, some other people were saying, yeah, it's one thing working with somebody and getting to know them at work, but it's different actually going on dates with that person, and you have to do that to actually fall for somebody. OP replied to that saying, yeah, I'm not going to argue with people who come here all knowing. That's their opinion. I've spent 40 hours a week working with this woman. We talk about everything, even about our families and problems, hobbies and adventures and plans, or people at the office wouldn't have noticed that we're close. I haven't confessed my feelings, of course, because they're wrong according to society, but I regret it now. We could always have tried to find new jobs or something. I regret my stupidity. Someone else said, a huge number of successful and unsuccessful relationships start at work. That's relatively normal. The internet long ago lost perspective on the difference between something comes with risks, so be careful and mature about it, and ran straight to that comes with risks, don't ever do it. Yeah, exactly. Jobs are temporary. If things go bad for whatever reason, you have the power to leave and find a new one. It's not fun, but it's also one of the better ways to get better pay, and your company owes you the same amount of loyalty you owe them. None. So go into a workplace relationship cautiously. Yeah, I think that's good advice. I mean, I know lots of people who met at work. I'm thinking of friends' parents, for example. At least 2 of my friends' parents I know met at work, and they've been happily married for decades. So I'm not too sure about the don't poop where you eat comment, because it must work for some people, but I agree with the end of this comment. As long as you do it cautiously and respectfully, I think it's fine. OP also agreed, saying thank you for a nuanced response. Sorry for the downvotes you're going to get because of it. You're not guaranteed a successful relationship just because it's not from your workplace, so there's no difference where you meet someone. Had it worked out or not, I would have had to find another job anyway. This is only my opinion. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I think you can ask someone out at work, and then if they reject you, you just say, yeah, I got rejected. And that's fine. If it worked, I would have wanted the relationship to continue to succeed and therefore maybe find a new job so we don't work together. That would have been my goal. That's also very fair. I'm not 100% sure about going to the same office as the person that you are dating long term. Maybe it works for some people. I think for most people, they'd probably want a little bit of time apart, at least in a day. So yeah, but by that point, you're very happy with where the relationship is and you're like, yeah, I'll get a new job. Happy to do that. He continues, if it didn't work, well, it would have been awkward to stay working at the same place. My point is that sometimes a woman is worth finding a new job, no matter the results. Someone else said, from what you describe, it does sound as though she may have hoped that something would happen between you two. Did you sleep with the other girl that you left with? Did she also work with you? If so, then why was it okay to sleep with her, but not to get close to the colleague that you actually like? Yeah, I slept with the girl, he replied. No, she doesn't work with us, of course. She was just at the bar with her friends. Interesting response. Someone else asked, you could, I don't know, like talk to her or have lunch together? You've basically been flirting and connecting for a long time. Then when it's finally off work hours, you leave with another girl in front of her. That screams, I'm not interested in you. Exactly. Like, if a girl that I liked and was flirting with loads at work, or at least I thought she was flirting with me loads at work, then just randomly got with a rando at a pub or something after our Christmas party, I'd be like, oh, well, I got that wrong. She's clearly not interested at all. And if she then said, sorry, I just didn't want to date someone who I work with, so I decided just to sleep with a random person from the bar, I'd be like, well, you're just an idiot then. I mean, that's just weird. The commenter continues, just ask her to eat lunch together and tell her you've enjoyed her company for a long time, that everyone told you not to ask her out, and that Christmas party, they were all over you about not asking her out. Just be honest. Make it clear you were and are interested, but will completely honor her decision. Exactly. This isn't over. Like, you can still use your words and explain what happened and then let her make the decision. He said, I contemplated doing it just to at least apologize to her because I know she has too much self-respect to accept someone like me now. Someone else said, well, just ask her out for a drink. What's the issue? If she likes you, she'll say yes. Well, I was just talking to one of the guys from her department, OP replied, and he casually mentioned that my colleague, who acted as my wingman at the Christmas party, asked her out right after the holidays. I've been so dumb, haven't I? Someone else said, man, do whatever your heart tells you to do. I dated someone from work. I was attracted to her the minute I saw her on her first day at work when she joined our team. My desk was about 20 feet from hers. We became friends and eventually started dating. Yeah, we had some rough times, but that's because we were young and immature. I was 22 and she was 25, but we got along incredibly well. That was 25 years ago and we're still together. OP then said, it was over for me the moment she smiled at me. We are 28. Well then, why did you do what you did? And finally somebody said, dude, you went home with someone else while your crush was there. You are an idiot. Yeah, a huge one. I mean, it is an interesting topic of discussion overall, isn't it, really? Should you date someone from work? I think, as I said earlier, within reason, absolutely, yeah, why not ask? Because if you are as attracted to somebody as OP clearly is, then you got to go for it. Like, what is really the worst that could happen? She says no, they say no, it's just a little bit awkward, and you say, okay, well, at least I tried, and then you just get on with life. Like, it's not that bad. Whereas the regret that OP must now feel is insane, just because they listened to other people way too much and should have followed their heart. However, other people did not tell you, OP, to go out after your Christmas party with her when she was having a great time with you, and then ignore her and then sleep with a randomer from the bar. No one said that. So I think that's where you probably screwed up a little bit. Surely now you need to just be as honest as you possibly can be with her and explain all your thinking, all your actions, everything that everyone has said to you about not dating someone from work, and then, yeah, let her decide. But to be honest, I won't really blame her if she says, okay, sure, that's fine, but why did you go home with a random person at the bar when I was there and was chatting to you? And if you don't have an answer to that, because let's be honest, you kind of don't, other than I was told not to date you, then you're in trouble, I think. I mean, I don't fully know because I've never worked like in an office where I've had a crush on somebody. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. Would it really ruin a work dynamic that much if you just very briefly said to somebody, look, I really like you. I know we're good friends, but I was just wondering if you wanted to have a drink with me or something like that. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm seeing someone else, or sorry, not really feeling it. I want to stay, professional. Would that be that awkward in future? It's not as if that person would then go and spread that to everyone. And if they did, then that's not the person you want to be with anyway. So I don't know. I feel like your ego can be too big and you can be too proud sometimes. And the fear of rejection and the awkwardness can be a huge inhibiting factor as to why you don't do something. Clearly, you should have done it. But anyway, let's get into the update, which came 3 days later, and see what happened next. Hi again. So I'll just dive right into my update. I asked my colleague if we could take a walk on our lunch break because I needed to talk to her. It was the first time I've talked to her since the party. She probably knew exactly what it was about. I just started by apologizing. I told her exactly what went through my mind that day, and without making excuses for myself, because let's face it, I'm an adult. I didn't need to listen to the others. I should have trusted my feelings, and definitely nobody made me go home with that girl. I told her this. Okay, fair play. Well done for telling her, at least. She said that she was hurt because she liked me, and that she too thought about us being colleagues and what it would have meant, but she thought worst case that she would have to find a new job if we had clicked as a couple. Telling me this was like knives in my chest. I wish I was less dramatic too and had her simple approach, and I told her that. Anyway, I told her that what I did was stupid and had nothing to do with her but my own insecurities. She accepted my apology. She is not interested though in pursuing anything anymore. I kind of expected that because she's way better than settling for a mess like me. I probably showed her an ick side, and I understand. I won't lie and say that it didn't break my heart a little, and I think I teared up a little even though I tried to be cool. That must have been another ick for her. She said that she's also moving on with another job too because it felt awkward at the office now. This made me want to cry for real. I tried to avoid this woman because of a stupid job, because it would be awkward to date someone I work with, and now she's not going to be working with me anyway. I wished her luck, and I hope it sounded like I meant it. That is all. Oh, that is brutal. All right, let's get into the comments. Someone said, oh, it sucks, but you did the grown-up thing by admitting it and apologizing, even if it didn't end the way you hoped. Learn your lesson, be kind to yourself, and don't let a single wrong step convince you that you're not yourself. Someone else said, learn from your mistakes. Yeah, I think that's the important thing here, really, isn't it? If you fall for someone else in the future, which you will, I guarantee insecurities will once again present themselves. It might not involve co-workers or you relying on others' opinions, but something will cause doubt. Learn to rely on your own instincts and face your own insecurities. If you don't, you'll ruin another potential relationship in the future. OP said, I've definitely learned from this. Someone else said, advice from someone who dated at work? Don't do it. I met my ex-husband at work. In the beginning, it was not a problem, but as the honeymoon phase fades, the challenges start to come up. In hierarchy, he was above me. I didn't want to switch job as it was my first one, and I still had a lot to learn, and that company was perfect for that. He was well liked and was doing well, so he was not willing to change jobs. We were in the same team, so it didn't help. Issues at work would get carried over in the relationship. It was only after he changed company that the relationship got better. So, never again will I date someone at my job. Well, fair enough, but you still met him there. You then could have, when things weren't going as well, moved on. It depends. Like, if you were both that wedded to the company and knew you were going to be, then maybe it wasn't the best idea, but surely the person you're with is the most important thing, not the company you work for, right? OP said to this, I can always find a new job, not always find someone great. Since when do we value work over people? You know what? That's exactly what I just said, and I respect that, OP, because I completely agree. I'm not discussing other people's experiences anymore since I'm not interested in more anecdotes. Wow. My experience left me full of regrets just because I followed advice of people with experience like yours. I've had tens of messages from people with successful experiences too. Why should your experience be worthier? OP has come back fighting there. And you know what? I don't mind it. Maybe show a little bit of that passion to the girl from work, OP, and she might take you back. And finally, someone else said, you tried to avoid making things awkward at work and ended up making the situation so unbearable that she had to quit. That is the ultimate irony. She was willing to risk her career to be with you, while you were too scared to even ignore some bad advice. She didn't reject you because you're a mess. She rejected you because she realized she was playing for keeps while you were just playing it safe. Goodness me. Scathing, but fair? And OP said, this is basically a summary of what happened. I regret it. Now, very interestingly, a lot of the comments on the Best of Redditor Updates subreddit, just to explain what that is if you don't know, Best of Redditor Updates is a subreddit where people find posts, stories, whatever, from all over Reddit. Doesn't matter on the page, the subreddit. But importantly, they have updates and conclusions like this story, and then they cross-post it onto Best of Redditor Updates. And the comments on that post on Best of Redditor Updates are different from the original comments, the ones that I've been reading out through this video, because, you know, they read the whole thing and it's just a different subreddit. The point being, the comments on this Best of Redditor Updates post are very scathing about OP. A lot of them are just saying he's an absolute idiot. Why on earth did he decide to do what he did with that girl from the bar? And, you know, they're just saying he just sounds like an absolute fool. I mean, here's a comment. He only regrets listening to bad advice. He doesn't regret his ultimate idiocy by hooking up with a random woman in front of his crush. I think his colleagues might actually have been trying to save that female colleague because they know OP is immature and has a tendency to blame everyone except himself. Now, that comment has a lot of upvotes, 687 to be exact. I don't agree with that. From the update and from OP's replies to the comments, where he literally says that he only has himself to blame, he's learned from this, he could always find a new job, like, you know, he values people over work, etc., etc. I don't see him as being a complete idiot. Now, yes, was he an idiot in this situation? 100%. 100%. But I would never go as far, like these comments are saying, this guy's self-pity routine is really gross. I don't know. Is he that bad? Like, he just made a mistake because he was listening to bad advice and was probably very anxious about what to do. He'll learn from it. He said that. I don't know. Sometimes I do think the people of Reddit are extremely harsh. They see things in a very black and white way when actually sometimes, you know, you need a little bit more human understanding. Like, is it the worst thing what he did? Yeah, objectively looking at it, it's so dumb. But when you're in the moment getting all this advice from people and you're like, well, you know, I still want to meet somebody and I can't talk to the girl I like from work because everyone said it's a terrible idea. Am I going to go home with this girl? Yeah. Like, it's a terrible decision, but I can see how he made it. And let's be honest, we've all made bad decisions in the past. So he comments like this. If he liked her, he wouldn't have left with another woman and had sex with her. That's the most idiotic thing I've read. At least he showed her who he is, and that's best for her. In principle, again, yeah. That comment is correct, obviously. If you like someone, you're not going to have sex with someone else. But in reality, I just don't know. Like, would that be the first time in history that someone's liked someone else and has gone home with somebody else? No, like, it hasn't. And if he thinks, OP thinks, that for whatever reason he couldn't have the girl that he actually likes, then yeah, why not go with someone else? Again, I'm not saying that it's not idiotic, but I do think sometimes people can be a bit too quick to judge when actually, if you were in that situation, it would be slightly different. Again, I'm not saying that I would do something like that, or that you would do something like that, or that these commenters would do something like that. But from the outside looking in, it's a lot easier to be logical and sensible. When you're actually in it and your heart's racing and you're being told everything and you don't know what to do and you just, you know, you're young and inexperienced, then sometimes you do crazy things. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Am I being too lenient on this guy? Is he just an actual idiot, or is he a guy that messed up and was an idiot in his actions, in his behavior, but isn't a full idiot, if you know what I mean? I hate that my boyfriend is going out for drinks with his ex on Valentine's Day. This was originally posted on February the 15th, 2025. I have no problem with my boyfriend going out for drinks with his ex. They broke up many years ago. She lives away and is visiting for a week or so. They didn't have a bad breakup. It was bad timing, and they've stayed in contact since. She seems like a nice person. I also don't do Valentine's Day. I don't like getting presents or spending time with someone because they feel obligated to. I want that stuff to be natural and because it's wanted, not because it's forced. I don't expect a day to be any different than any other day. But the two lining up does suck. It sucks that I'm here alone, watching everyone do posts about Valentine's Day and watching what everyone is doing, and he is out with his ex. It's not that I automatically think he's cheating or that it's romantic or that it's wrong. He messaged me saying it's weird and so nice to see her. It just sucks. And I hate that I feel like crying. I hate Valentine's Day. I've never had a good one. It always feels like trash. I don't want to celebrate it. I don't want to be a jealous girlfriend. I don't want to feel so lonely. I just don't want this. But ultimately, I'm not going to say anything. And I know that's my fault and my failings. So instead, I'm just going to be at home alone and cry. Okay, immediately after reading the original post here, I've got to say, it sounds like OP is upset by this and is bothered by this, despite the fact that they started by saying they have no problems with their boyfriend going out with his ex. They do. And that's completely fine, by the way. Most people would. And it's a bit of a shame that this week has coincided with Valentine's Day, which you also don't celebrate. But you can also say, look, I know I don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but I'd rather you didn't see your ex on Valentine's Day or within Valentine's week, even if you don't celebrate it. I think that's completely fine. Someone in the comments agreed with me, saying, why didn't you just tell him it bothered you? It's very weird that he's out with an ex on Valentine's Day, whether you celebrate it or not. They're going to be surrounded by people in love while you're at home. Why would he go out with an ex on Valentine's Day? That is so disrespectful. OP replied saying, he told me a few days ago she was coming to visit for something in town. He said he wanted to go get coffee with her to catch up sometime. He was working till 7 p.m. this evening and we didn't make any plans. He's been saying he wants to do dinner at some point but has yet to arrange that. He just sort of messaged me saying, finish work, going out to drink with ex, then coming home. He's still out with her. Didn't really give me a chance to say anything. Going out for coffee for some time and going out for drinks on Valentine's Day is very different things. I just feel like a freaking idiot. Someone else said, yeah, as much as the ex issue is with OP's partner, this actually sounds like OP set themselves up for failure here. Partner, hey babe, do you want to do something special for Valentine's Day? OP, no, I hate Valentine's Day, it sucks. Okay, okie dokie. OP, why does nobody treat me on Valentine's Day? OP, if you want something, then you have to say something. People are not mind readers, and especially in this case, where you specifically said the opposite of what you wanted. You need to end this self-fulfilling prophecy, or else you'll keep being disappointed. I think that's a little bit harsh, but slightly fair. OP replied, he didn't ask if I wanted to do anything for Valentine's. I don't like presents, for birthdays or Christmas or anything, but he also didn't ask. He said he wanted to take me out to dinner sometime, but has yet to arrange that. I know I need to arrange stuff too, but I've got stuff going on in my life, meaning I'm kind of housebound without someone with me, and I can't drive. There are no taxis where I live. He said he wanted to go out for coffee with her sometime to catch up, not drinks on Valentine's night. I don't know. I know there's been some miscommunication, but this feels overkill. But it also feels like my fault. Right, now let's get into the first updates, which came on the same day. OP said, so an update for people to kind of explain my headspace. I feel worthless. I didn't recognize how letting lots of little things go was things I actually cared about until last night. I felt hurt, but I felt I shouldn't be allowed to. He's not a bad guy. He's just stupid and oblivious to how he makes me feel sometimes. And that's not his fault. I can't communicate my feelings because I feel I have no right to them. I have a lot of issues and I'm really messed up. I'm still figuring that out. I want to be in therapy, but that's not available where I am. I'm disabled with no ability to work or go private. It came to a head last night because I realized I was hurt and angry, but immediately shut those feelings down. And I guess I finally realized I shouldn't do that. I've told him we need a break, that I don't know how to proceed, that yes, he often makes me feel worthless because he says nice things and says things he wants to do, but actually does the opposite. My boyfriend loves in words, not actions. I feel love in actions. not words. Also, yes, I am poly. I've been in happy poly relationships before because I struggle with monogamous relationships. I hate feeling trapped and dependent, but that was when I had other things in my life that made me feel worthwhile too, when I could work and have goals. And just because we're poly doesn't mean we don't have rules. Friends, family, and exes are still cheating. It isn't all or nothing. This wasn't about cheating though. It was about how worthless I feel and realizing I shouldn't have to. That just because I don't want big gestures doesn't mean I don't need small consistencies. I'm autistic and very traumatized by my past. Communication skills are not something I was taught. I was taught to be quiet and not make other people upset or angry at you because that's not nice. That I don't love how normal people love, so I should just accept what is given. But you can't really be in a relationship when you shut down all expectations and don't communicate what you actually need. I know he wants to work on things, but that involves me learning like basic human relationship skills. I know the logical answers to problems. I don't know how to feel them and express them. I feel I've been pushed so far back in the priority of his life, and I've let him because I don't feel I deserve anything more. And I don't know how to come back from it. Okay, one quick comment before we get into the final update here. Someone said, if your communication and relationship skills are terrible, then maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Since you're so traumatized and you're recognizing it, I don't know how you figured any relationship would work. Be so for real. Really? I'm not sure about that. That's like saying, because you've never loved someone before and you don't feel capable of loving somebody, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Like, surely you don't have to be the finished package to be in a relationship. You can still have like huge drawbacks about your character and still find somebody that works for you. I wouldn't agree with that comment at all. I don't think comments like that will help someone like OP, to be completely honest. Anyway, they replied saying, yeah, I know, I thought I was doing better. I didn't want a relationship, I told him that, but I pushed that aside to take a chance because he said he fell in love with me. And he's been patient with me, and I guess I just thought it's better to take what is given than expect more. But it's not. I don't communicate. I need actions, not words. He gives words, but no action. It's hard admitting you're not aromantic, but also not being capable of a proper relationship. Okay, and then let's get into the final update posted on February the 20th. That's 5 days after the original post. I already did a mini one of these immediately the morning after, but dang, has it been a rough couple of days. So yeah, this post was a problem. I've been annoyed at him and myself. He effed up, and so did I. It was never about whether I thought he was cheating. I know he didn't cheat, and I don't think he will. Yes, we're poly, but we still have the ability to cheat on each other by breaking rules we have in place, like no exes. This was more about realizing I felt very unloved and worthless. Not because of this one act, but because of months of his lack of actions and a year of degrading health that has taken away everything that gave me meaning and made me feel worthwhile. When I got the message that he wanted to take me to dinner, but hasn't planned it, a dinner he'd wanted to take me on for over a month but never found the time to, but then found the time to suddenly go out for drinks with someone else, it hurt, and I didn't understand why. It wasn't because it was Valentine's Day, it was because I'd seen everyone talk about how they felt loved, and I realised I didn't. Because at the same time, I was planning a mini trip for him the next month, and I realised he wouldn't do the same for me if he couldn't even arrange a dinner or an evening together that wasn't just on the sofa. That just because this activity didn't have an immediate deadline didn't mean it wasn't important. And I realised through this post, my immediate reaction to that was to push it down and not say anything, which makes me stupid and pathetic. So yes, I've told my boyfriend how I feel. It's not about big gestures, it's not about who he chooses to spend his time with, it's about the fact he couldn't find the time to spend with me. That if he wanted to be with me, he would have been before this point. Saying you want to be with someone, do things with someone, but then constantly fail to do them is a problem. Yeah, that's very sensible from OP, and that makes a lot more sense to me. I've also got a lot of work to do with my own self-worth and communication ability. I lack a lot of the basic skills of recognizing my emotions and being able to communicate them. There's many reasons for this, not excuses, but what has created this situation. I need to get better at that for myself, but also for anyone I'm attempting to have a relationship with. Me and my boyfriend have taken a couple of days apart to think about where we want to go from here. Ultimately, talking about the state of relationship is only part of the solution. What's more important is the actions we take going forward. I need to be more vocal in recognizing my wants and feelings. He needs to show me that he loves me and wants to be with me, not just tell me. I know people are going to be angry I'm not just immediately breaking up with him, but this was never about cheating. Relationships breaking down aren't always about that. A lot of the time, it's more nuanced than that. And worrying that someone else is cheating is often more about the lack of self-worth than what's actually happening. I also don't believe you can't be friends with exes. I also strongly don't believe that men and women can't be friends. This is a very cis-het view on relationships and people. If you can't be friends with people you are potentially attracted to, then how the heck do you think bi and gay people exist? I'm bi, and in the circles I've known, this is never an issue. To be honest, I've never actually thought about it like that. That's a great way of thinking about it. I mean, I completely agree. Obviously, guys should be able to be friends with girls that they're attracted to, like good-looking girls, and vice versa, because otherwise it's just ridiculous. And yeah, what if you're bi? You can't be friends with anyone? Or at least anyone good looking? I mean, ridiculous. OP continues. If you can't see people you've had sex with, or the people you have the potential to want to have sex with, as only objects of sex, that's a problem with how you view fellow humans. I'm not in competition with everyone he's been with and can potentially be with, and he isn't to me. A relationship between two people is about those two people. For those who are saying I need therapy, I 100% agree, and I'm trying, but where I live and the lack of ability to work is making that very difficult. The NHS is only bothered if you're potentially going to do damage to yourself, or if you can be in the workforce, and I live on a remote island where there are no private options. So I'm learning these things myself with very little guidance. Realising the difficulty of this and the toll it's taking on me is a factor completely of its own too. I don't know if we'll stay together. It depends on the coming weeks and probably months as to whether we can get this stuff sorted and make progress to communicate better and give each other what we both are needing. I won't be updating on here anyway, regardless. Thank you for the people trying to actually help and listen, not just jumping to insult me or make me feel worse. Thanks to the people reaching out through messages too. This situation has taken a physical toll on me, and I've spent the last 2 days in bed with a migraine, not eating, so I just haven't had the energy to make conversation. I'll do better for myself and expect more from my partner. I'd rather be alone and happy than in a relationship and constantly disappointed. So, our relationship is on trial to see if it will work. Small consistencies will determine that, not big gestures. Ultimately, I think it can be summed up with, just because I don't require much doesn't mean I don't deserve the bare minimum, both for how I treat myself and how others who care for me treat me. Well said. Yeah, you know what? I think that is a very good last line. I haven't really agreed with loads of what OP has said during this. I think they've been extremely harsh on themselves. I'm not saying like, they're getting loads of things wrong or whatever. I just think they're being too self-detrimental. But I agree with the last bit there. I mean, even the last bit there, right? Like, of course you deserve the bare minimum. You shouldn't have to say that. And I think you deserve more than the bare minimum. But I do agree overall with the sentiment that, yeah, just because you come across as being pretty chilled, saying, oh, you know what, I don't care. You can see your ex, be friends with your ex, which, by the way, like, I don't know. I'm not sure a lot of people would be willing to accept that or be as open to that with their current partner as you are, which is sort of what you're saying. Just because you're saying that sort of thing doesn't mean that you don't have any requirements at all. Just because you're pretty chilled doesn't mean that you don't deserve the bare minimum, or at least what I take that as a lot of respect, despite the fact that you are a relatively relaxed person in terms of that sort of thing. I think that's what you're getting at. I'm just trying to give you more kudos for who you are as a person. Anyway, that's it for story one. Let's get into the second one. My boyfriend got me a Valentine's gift that was a puzzle picture of me standing in front of my losing streaks in my favorite games. This was originally posted to r/girl gamers. I know people in this sub usually hate posts like this, but I feel this is the only community that can tell me if I'm overreacting. He got me a mystery puzzle for Valentine's to put together with him because he loves doing puzzles. I realise my face is in it, and I laugh, and I realise it has some match histories, and laugh. Then I realise his entire gift for Valentine's is a puzzle he wants to tape and frame, making fun of me for being bad at the games he plays the most. And I felt kind of about it. Especially because these are games where I watch him flame people and flip his trash on them for being bad at. He got angry at me as soon as he realised I didn't like it and told me I need to learn to laugh at myself. I asked then what he thought was funny about it, and he said if he had to explain it, then it wouldn't be funny. My friends make memes about me effing up plays or saying dumb things like red and yellow make orange. This just feels different. Sorry, do red and yellow not make orange? Well, red and yellow do make orange, don't they? What? Anyway, that's maybe gone over my head. Let's carry on. I guess I would have preferred it as a birthday gift, but on Valentine's Day, my only gift and special thing being something making fun of me. Anyway, he actually constantly makes fun of me for being bad at these games, and I watch him type paragraphs making fun of people for these games as well. It just felt demoralizing. He said it's okay I'm bad at them because I'm hot, which didn't help, and he only got more annoyed that I didn't find that helpful. How would you guys take something like that? I mean, this guy is just clearly a bad person and an even worse boyfriend, to be honest. Let's have a quick look at some of the comments, although I don't need to spend too long on this, I can kind of guess what they're going to say. He gave you a mean prank instead of a gift. That sucks. I'd be upset too. And I don't think you're wrong to draw a connection between his making fun of you for how well you play games and his making fun of strangers. It sounds like he enjoys being mean in general. You deserve to be treated kindly and to have your feelings valued. Well said. Good-natured ribbing is fine if the person receiving it is fine with it. He knew before he got you this gift that it hurt your feelings to be made fun about your gaming skill. If his intentions were innocent, then the moment you stopped enjoying the puzzle because you saw what it was a picture of, he should have been falling over himself to apologize and make it better. Instead, he doubled down on it being a you problem. He's treating you like some kind of trophy girlfriend and not a person he cares about. I'm so sorry he did this to you at all, much less on Valentine's. Someone else said, so first he gets you a gift of a puzzle because he likes doing them. That's the first thing that seemed weird to me. It doesn't seem like he was thinking of you much there at all. Then it's a gift that makes you a punchline of a mean joke. I think that's a pretty rubbish gift any day of the week, but definitely not something you gift on a birthday, Valentine's Day, or any other big gift-giving day. That's a joke gift you give on a random Tuesday afternoon, at best. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I actually don't agree with what OP said, saying it would be alright if it was a birthday, but it's Valentine's Day. Nah, like if you're getting that for somebody as an actual gift and they're expecting an actual nice gift, it's not just like a one-off sort of banter meme present for the fun of it, if you two have that sort of relationship, that's a terrible gift. And further, he's already got a reputation for raging at games and bad players. Nope. It's like being rude to wait staff or mean to pets. It indicates a lot about a person's character and ability to regulate their emotions. I mean, what happens when he's the butt of the joke? Does he take it with grace or does he get mean? Does he ever laugh at himself like he expects you to? He couldn't explain the joke to you because it wasn't funny. It was just meant to put you down for his amusement. Actually, a great point. It wasn't as if he was like, oh, this is why it's funny. He actually said, well, it's not funny if I have to explain it. Yeah, that's why it's not funny, because there is no explanation. And to top it off, he says, it's okay because you're hot. In what world is that an acceptable response that makes any sense? He reduced you to your sex appeal. It clearly shows what he values most in the relationship. He sounds insufferable and juvenile. I'll tell him that he's a bad boyfriend and he's not hot enough to make it okay. Ugh, that's a naughty clapback. OP replied to this saying, only he likes puzzles, but I think it's okay because for Valentine's it was my gift, but his activity to suit the love languages? He laughs at himself and takes jokes on his behalf really well, unless he feels the person is serious. I did press on him to explain the joke because I wanted him to admit the humour was, it's funny because you're bad and I'm making light of it. I felt like I was more upset than I'd normally be, but he definitely got angrier than I felt was normal. Then somebody said, yeah, that's like if you got him tickets to a concert you love, which you then use yourself because you attending the concert is the activity and he got the ticket. Don't worry, you'll bring him a program and stub afterwards. Yeah, it makes no sense. And also, I like the love language bit. I don't get it. His love language is making puzzles? I mean, maybe, but isn't it a Valentine's Day gift for you? Shouldn't it be about you? Or at least something you both enjoy doing together, not just him? Very self-centered. All right, a couple of days later, we got this update. I ended up deleting my original post, don't worry, I found it, because it was getting a lot of traction and it was overwhelming. Also, some women just engaging in the casual misogyny of accusing me of trying to be a cool girl and surrounding myself with toxic men for validation was crazy off that one post. Really? There were comments like that? My goodness, the internet is a crazy place. Anyway, the next day I got accepted into all of the PhD programs I applied to, one of which I was offered a fellowship, basically high honors showing I was an extremely competitive admit. My boyfriend was still so mad over the Valentine's gift, he wasn't speaking and only congratulated me over text saying, "Great news." My friends were appalled and threw an impromptu party for me where I cried at the show of support. My parents are dead, it's just me in this world. Between what some very great women said to me as motivational advice on this sub and that, it helped give me the final push. They came together to help me make a plan to get a new apartment, move out, and help start this new chapter of my life. I'm going to buy myself a cute little battle station as a gift. I've been saving up for one for this exact thing. So, hopefully my next post is pics of that. Thanks for the community support. Up the girl game, as I say. And just for confirmation, she has said in a comment down below, we're not going to be together anymore by the end of this week, me and my boyfriend that is. I think it was over way before today anyway, just waiting to have everything in order before I drop the other shoe, so to speak. Boom. Okay, there we go. Good thing you've broken up. Congratulations on your PhD acceptances. Not much more to add from me apart from this guy's an absolute idiot and you're better off without him. And now for our final story of this Valentine's Day special. This one comes 4 years ago, February the 18th, 2022. My boyfriend broke up with me on Valentine's Day because I ate too much at dinner. I am a 27-year-old woman, and I've been dating my boyfriend, who is 26, since last summer, about 7 months now. It's been my happiest relationship ever so far, as he's smart, kind, funny, a good listener, bedroom stuff is excellent, etc. We don't live together yet, but we spend about 3 to 4 nights a week together. I was so looking forward to our first Valentine's Day together. I made us reservations for an early dinner at our favourite steakhouse, and the plan was to come back to my place after that to watch a movie and have desserts. I got us a little heart-shaped chocolate cake. And desserts. Nice. Anyway, I'm kind of a string bean. I'm 5'9", and it's a struggle to keep my weight at least at 125 pounds, the minimum for my height to not be underweight. There's nothing medically wrong with me, just have a really fast metabolism, and I have to be careful to eat enough. My boyfriend's also very slim, 6 foot and about 145 pounds, but doesn't have a huge appetite. So it's always been a bit of a joke that I need to eat more and more frequently than he does. But until our Valentine's Day date, I didn't really think it was an issue. He shows up looking amazing, gives me lovely flowers and a really sweet card. I give him a gift I know he really wanted, an Apple Watch, and we head out to the restaurant. He's a full-time grad student and I work, so I don't expect expensive gifts. Also, I'm paying for dinner due to income differences, which I do not mind at all. When we get there, I dive into the breadbasket and I ordered a salad, a surf and turf, a small fillet and lobster tail, and a couple of sides to share, sauteed spinach and mashed potatoes. And he gets a small cup of soup and grilled salmon. Pretty standard steakhouse stuff. Not really, because none of you have got an actual steak. You clowns. But I suppose fair enough. Again, I'm paying, and it's definitely a treat meal, but not extremely unhealthy or anything. I definitely relish my meal and finish everything except some of the sides. He eats a bit more than half of his salmon. Most of the way through the meal, he starts looking annoyed and distant, but won't tell me what's wrong. We get the check. We don't get dessert as we have it at my place, and as we're pulling up to my apartment, he says he's tired and just wants to go home. Says no, he doesn't want to come in for cake or sleep at my place, he just wants to go home. In the moment, of course, I'm disappointed because it's Valentine's Day and our first one at that, but I tell him I'm so sorry and I hope he feels better. I try to give him a kiss goodnight, but he turns his head and tenses up. This morning, he texts me to say he wasn't actually sick, he was actually embarrassed by how much I ate, and he turned off. That I made a pig of myself, and it's really unattractive. Now, I do not shovel my food in, and I have impeccable table manners, so it's not that. It's definitely just the volume of food. I try calling him, but he won't pick up. He texts me back saying he isn't up to talking and he needs some time to think. A couple of hours ago, he texts again saying he's thought about it and wants to break up, that my eating has upset him for a while and he was trying to see if he could get over it, but he can't. I am so distraught and confused. Just yesterday before dinner, he was telling me how much he loved me and how lucky he was. And of course, I feel horrible about myself for being disgusting, even though if I eat much less, I'll lose weight and then get sick. I guess I just have to accept that it's over, but hope someone might have some advice. Did I do something wrong here? or is there a way I can fix it? Two sad questions, to be honest, because the answers to both, well, the answer to the first one is obviously no, you did nothing wrong. Is there something that you can fix about your boyfriend's ridiculous personality or obsession with their girlfriend eating more food than them? Also, no. That's just terribly weird behavior. Wow. What a sad post, to be honest with you, because you sound great, OP. And I thought your boyfriend was a good guy. At least he seemed like one until a few days ago when he revealed that he doesn't like you eating food. Let's get into the update straight away and see what happened next. Firstly, thank you for those who were so supportive in validating that his reaction to my eating a hearty but normal steakhouse meal was way over the top. Again, wasn't a normal meal because you didn't have any actual steak. Your kindness made me feel a lot better about getting dumped and realizing I likely dodged a huge bullet. Also, I know some of you are going to be in the comments saying they might be veggie. It's just a joke, guys. Relax. Sorry I didn't respond to everyone. I went to bed when there were only a few dozen responses, but when I woke up the next morning, the post was already deleted. Anyway, I realized I couldn't just block my ex because he had left a bunch of stuff at my place. Wow. And there we go. Not even a mention of I broke up with him, just immediately ex. Wow, just brutal and good. Anyway, he left several outfits worth of clothes, assorted toiletries, and electronics chargers. So I did text him the next day saying I understood, and did he want to come get his stuff, or should I bring it to him? I also asked if he was planning to return the watch, given how things went, and he didn't answer that, but said he'd stop by in a couple of hours. When he arrived, I gave him all his things, neatly packed, and I saw that he was wearing the watch. He said he was keeping it because it was a gift. I told him I thought that was pretty crummy of him, but ultimately I know he is legally in the right. I'd actually checked with a lawyer friend of mine, because it had been a gift freely given. And for something of a value of less than $1,000 that doesn't have any sentimental value, it just isn't worth fighting over. He went on to tell me he was sorry he went off on me, that he had wanted to break up for a while because he'd started seeing someone else in his grad school program. We did not have an open relationship, and thought it would be easier if I just thought he was a big jerk for negging me about my eating. And there we go. That explains a lot. And he'd actually double booked for Valentine's Day with a later dinner with her, which is the real reason he didn't eat much at our dinner and sought an excuse to get out of dessert and later activities. Holy, what the heck? That is, by the way, guys, for those of you that are still listening right now, whether it be on a podcast platform, on YouTube, wherever you're listening or watching this right now, that is why you have to stay until the last story, the last update in each and every episode that I produce. Because what have I just read there? I mean, imagine you clicked off a few minutes ago. You would never have heard that. I'm actually going to repeat that because that's so unbelievable. He started seeing someone else in his grad school program and thought it would be easier if he just negged me about my eating and thought I was a huge jerk, and then he double booked for Valentine's Day with a later dinner with her. That's the real reason he didn't eat much at our dinner and sought an excuse to get out of dessert and later activities. I mean, round of applause for this clown. Honestly, I could have been really hurt and angry, but in the moment, I just felt sorry for him for being so immature that he had to act this way. There's really nothing that turns me off and makes me lose feelings more quickly than a grown man acting completely childish. So I just told him, best of luck, and I hope he figures out his life. I don't expect we'll have future contact. Finally, to address one point from the prior comments, I know a lot of folks said I shouldn't have gotten him such an expensive gift after dating for only 7 months. I was sort of thinking that, but it's up to you. You can do whatever you want for your boyfriend, girlfriend, I think. The thing is, I've actually usually dated men who are a bit older, not inappropriately so, like 5 or 7 years older, and in higher earning professions like law or finance, so I'm more used to giving and receiving pretty expensive gifts. And I figured here, even though he was a student, I still wanted to be as generous as I could reasonably afford to be. But going forward, I'll be more careful and probably wait until dating at least a year to give gifts that cost more than a couple of $100s. Yeah, I think that is very reasonable. So, all in all, a bit of an expensive and hurtful lesson, but it certainly could have been worse. Looking forward to a brief break from the dating scene, and then hopefully dating more mature people. I mean, wow, what a great response from OP again. I mean, I could tell immediately from the original post that OP was like a good person, very mature, seemed pretty chilled, probably quite funny as well. Like, you can just sort of get a gauge for someone in their writing and their general style. And that came across to me. That last few sentences is elite. Like, I don't know if it's kind of weird to not really be that impacted at all by an event like this, but maybe OP is right. Like, seeing the true side of someone, despite the fact that you're probably in love with them and you're pretty devastated in the moment, actually maybe they're the sort of person that can go, this is tough, but they're a child and very immature and it would never have worked out. I'm just going to break up with them and move on pretty quickly. I don't think many people can do that, but respect for OP for being able to do that. Actually very impressive. Anyway guys, there we go. That is going to do it for this Valentine's Day special. I know it's come out a few days after Valentine's Day, but I wanted to wait for Valentine's Day story from this year. I hope those of you that celebrate Valentine's Day, if celebrating Valentine's Day is a thing, had a nice one. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. Did it go well, or was it a bit of a horror story like these 3 stories? Very interested to hear what you guys have to say. As always, I am a 28-year-old woman, and my significant other is a 28-year-old man. Now, he cheated on me with my stepsister, who is 27, and she is pregnant with his kid. The original post for this one came all the way back in July of 2015. He, Adam, says he was drunk. We've been together for 10 years and finally got engaged and planning on getting married in a year and starting a family in a few years. And she, Betty, took advantage of him the first time. Adam doesn't have an excuse for the handful of other times they slept together over a 3-month period. It's not a good start. I knew she was pregnant. I've already been roped by my mum into co-hosting the baby shower with my other stepsister, Claire, who's 30. I don't know if it's shock or what, but I'm so freaking glad I haven't given Claire my share for the expensive jogging stroller we're getting Betty, or my half of the baby shower cost. Betty told everyone the father is an ex-boyfriend who doesn't want anything to do with her or the kid. She makes a ton of money, she'd be fine as a single mother, and my mum would help a ton, since she's retired and bored and wants a Duggar family's worth of grandchildren. Adam confessed everything because his dad walked out on him and his mum when he was a toddler, so he wants to be a father to his child, but still be with me because he loves me and made a mistake. I told him to get the F out of my apartment. Thank F we don't live together right now. We've lived together previously, but his mum wasn't doing well, so he moved in with her. His mum is fine now, so apparently he used his newfound free time to screw my stepsister. Although a bunch of his stuff is at my apartment because he was supposed to be moving in like a month and was bringing stuff over slowly. Anyway, he called my mum and told her who the real father of Betty's baby is, just because she's my mother and she'll listen to me cry. But she freaking knew already, Reddit. Apparently, in a fit of sadness over missing her deceased mother, who died when she was like 2, Betty told my mother. They all, my mum, Claire, and my stepfather, have freaking known for months. Months! Meanwhile, I'm over here killing myself trying to find the perfect floral arrangement for the tables for Betty's baby shower because I'm trying to be all sisterly and whatever and being the bigger person because sure as heck, Betty wouldn't put half as much effort into my baby shower if I were having one and she was hosting or co-hosting it. Or half as much money, even though she makes a load more than me. My own mother couldn't freaking tell me that my freaking fiance fathered my freaking stepsister's freaking baby. Goodness me. Okay, it seems like OP has just found out about this and is posting sort of imminently afterwards, but yeah, her entire family already knew and have known for months. She continues, no, in fact, my mum guilt-tripped me into being a co-host for the baby shower as soon as she found out Betty was pregnant. I think before she found out Adam was the father. I think. Mum, apparently, well, the general gist is she wants us all to get along and be a family, and it doesn't matter about the past, it just matters about the new life in the family. She knows I'm upset and hurt, but I need to work on my relationships with Adam, since we've been together 10 years and I wouldn't want to throw that away over a mistake, and Betty, since we're sisters and have been since we were kids, and figure out how to be the bigger person and put my feelings aside for the sake of the kid and our family. Yeah, easier said than done, Mum. I've always been the bigger person with Betty. From the very moment we were first introduced at the tender ages of 10 and 9, and she refused to give me my favourite stuffed animal back. And even then, Mum felt bad for her and let her get away with being a brat, and she got to take Mrs. Snuffles home while I had to suck it up and be the bigger person. She probably still has poor Mrs. Snuffles in some box in my mum and stepfather's attic, a trophy for her first of many victories over me. I hung up on my mother, and here I am posting on Reddit. Okay, yeah, this is fresh. I don't want to be Betty's kid's stepmother. I don't think I can forgive Adam. He knows what Betty's like and how our relationship is. Heck, I don't even know if I can forgive my mum, and she's like my mum. She was a great mother, one of my best friends. The only wrong things about her was her nasty habit of pitying Betty and letting her get away with murder, and her rubbish knitting that she always gives as gifts. I don't know how she can justify this betrayal in any way. It wasn't me that screwed up 10 years of a relationship, or mine and Betty's supposed sisterly bond. It was them. Maybe I should talk to her and ask if someone slipped crazy pills in her food the last few months, or maybe she's getting early dementia or something. I don't know. I keep looking at the text message from Claire that she sent me way too freaking early this morning, asking when I was giving her my share of the $800 jogging stroller we're getting Betty, and my share of the baby shower costs that's going to be worth a trashy Craigslist car. Okay, let's jump straight into a very quick edit that OP left, saying, is it wrong to reply telling her to go and screw herself? Because I did. We put all the rubbish on her credit cards, and she's in school and working a terrible retail job, and I feel bad for leaving her a huge debt of $3,000, but I keep telling myself she can return the stroller, cancel the stuff, sell the stuff that can't be returned, and probably my stepdad and mum will help her with the rest. Another edit. I mass texted our friends, telling them that Adam was a cheating idiot who was Betty's baby daddy. We've been together so long that all our friends are friends with us both. The only people I'm friends with who aren't friends with him too are basically just acquaintances that I don't feel comfortable talking about this with. Then I turned my phone off. I swear to God, if any of them knew or take his side, what if all of them knew? God. Tomorrow, my mum's out of the house at her weekly volunteering gig, and I'm going to go over to their house. I have a key, but chances are if my stepdad is home, he'll let me in and go back to watching TV. Great man. My stepsisters got a woman who tried to mother them without replacing their mother and overcompensating like heck. I got a dude that will occasionally nod at me and sometimes give me a deal on rent when the family plays Monopoly. I've got stuff in the attic that I was keeping there until I had a house of my own. Plus, I want to find Mrs. Snuffles. Oh, and I'm going to raid my mum's jewelry box, which sounds bad, I know, but I'll only take the stuff my grandmother left me, I promise. I was letting my mum borrow it because I felt bad that my grandma willed it all to me and skipped her, mum's an only child, and I figured I'd just get it back when my mum died in 40 years. Which I'll freely admit is freaking stupid of me because I could just see Betty whining that she didn't have any grandmothers to leave her jewelry and that isn't fair, and probably my grandma knew what she was doing, leaving it to me instead. I wish she was alive. She'd tear my mum a new one. Hopefully, everything will be there and she won't be wearing anything. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I want it just in case. I don't think she'd give any of it to Betty or Claire or anything, but I also didn't think she'd freaking betray me like this. So, it's my jewelry. She's borrowing it indefinitely. I just kind of figured I'd let her keep it until she died because it was her mum's, but it's mine. I can't trust her not to give any of it to Claire or Betty, and I don't want to have to talk to her if I decide to never speak to her again, so I'm getting it tomorrow. We both know it's mine. It's not stealing to decide not to loan it to her anymore. It means a lot to me, so I'm for sure getting it. Goodness me. OP is on one. She then says, thank you for all your comments and advice so far. I'm going to go to bed and see what tomorrow brings me. Hopefully all my jewelry, Mrs. Snuffles, and messages from every one of my friends saying they're never speaking to Adam again because he's an idiot. They won't forgive me if I take him back, and none of them had any idea. Now you might be thinking, that's it for the original post. No, there's one more edit. I'm a really bad person, OP says. I texted Betty, I hope your baby is born with Down syndrome, which will be an interesting combination with the fetal alcohol syndrome it's got a 90% chance of having since you drink more than your mother ever dreamed of drinking. And then I followed that up with a text calling her a C word, and then another one that just said, tramp. Her mum died in a car crash she caused by drinking and driving. And Betty is the type of person who's expressed more than once that people with disabilities like Down syndrome should just be killed because they don't have any use and are a drain on society. Goodness me. I feel kind of bad, partly because it's trashy to say that sort of thing to anyone, and I'm a better person than that, and partially because reading that back, I don't really think that's much of an insult or anything, really. But what do I know? I've never been pregnant, maybe it will make her cry. And thanks to her, I'm probably not going to be pregnant anytime soon. I turned my phone off again, and to keep it off, I tossed it on top of the kitchen cupboards that I can't reach without a chair, and I'm for sure going to bed now. So what the F do I do? Wow. Okay, a quite frankly ridiculous start to this post. You can tell that OP is all over the place. Just been hit with some wild news, and I can't imagine going to bed, leaving my phone on top of the cupboards, having sent a message to all our mutual friends, me and my cheating significant other, saying what's happened, and then trying to work out or think about or ruminate on as you go to bed, did they already know this? And praying that they didn't and that this is news to them. Because if it isn't news to them and they already knew this and you're like the last one to find out about this, it's just shocking. It really is. Now, this is, of course, best of Redditor updates. So don't worry. There is an update to come, which we're going to get right into. This was a month later that we got the next bit of this story. But my goodness me. I mean, like 10 years and your SO is having a baby with your stepsister, and turns out other people have known about it for months and you just found out. Oh, like it's just sickening. Okay, so as I said, 1 month later, we're now in August of 2015, we got this update. I kept my relationship with Betty cool as soon as I turned 18 and moved out to go to college. We don't really have that sisterly bond, but it's more like cousins you see at family reunions bond. We tolerate each other. She knows I think she's a spoiled brat, and I know she thinks I'm a female dog because I won't take trash from anyone and will call her or anyone out on their trash. Mum is the only person I cave to and allow myself to be guilted into stuff and walked all over for. I'm not a wallflower or welcome mat or anything, so yeah. A lot of you said in the comments to cut them all off, and if I read my post, that would be my advice too. Like I said, I don't take trash. I completely stopped being friends with my BFF since I was 8 when I was 22 because she was staying with me for a month and kept smoking in my apartment even when I asked not to. Then she got female doggy when I bluntly told her she was being a jerk. And in general, I just didn't like the person she was growing into. So first, the day after my post, I went to my mum's house. No one was home and I used my key. I grabbed my jewelry and the boxes of random stuff I had sitting in the attic. I looked for Mrs. Snuffles, but I couldn't find her. I searched all of the Betty boxes and the Claire boxes to just be sure. I'm pretty sure their dog at the time destroyed her. I doubt Betty would have kept her all these years. I may or may not have also then cut up all of Betty's photos I found. Whoops, was that a photo of your mum? Well, I'm sure Claire has photos of her. Plus, you have my mum now, so you'll be fine. No, I'm not proud of that, but, well, they're sitting in the attic anyway, and much like Adam, I had a lapse of judgment. Yeah, slightly different, but fair enough. I lapsed so hard that I grabbed the kitchen scissors on my way to the attic. Yeah, and he lapsed so hard that he, multiple times, had sex with your sister-in-law, impregnating her. Yeah, eye for an eye, I suppose. I will admit, a month later, I feel pretty rubbish I did that. But the day after, I was still really raw and annoyed, and yeah, you know what? I think that's kind of fair. When I got home, I finally checked my phone. There were a load of messages from Mum, Claire and Betty that I deleted without really reading. Even an hour afterwards, I couldn't have told you what they said, but I bet in general, I could guess. The messages I got from my friends were really disappointing. Like I said, they were all mutual friends that have never known Adam and I separate from a couple, and most of the replies were, "We care about you both." Only a couple said he was an idiot or anything. One person, in fact, knew. Adam had told his BFF like a week before he told me, and his BFF strongly encouraged him to tell me. Oh, okay, I'm just rereading. So Adam was the one who actually told OP, and her mum didn't tell her, I see. or didn't tell her before she asked OP to help out with the baby shower or whatever. And we still don't really know if she knew at that point or not, but we know that she knew before OP did. Okay, fine. Doesn't necessarily matter that much. The important thing is that lots of people knew before OP. Well, not lots of people, but OP's close family knew before her. Okay, let's get back into it. A lot of you weren't very kind about speaking about my mother. Understandably, but she's not a narcissist or a bad person, really. She's too kind. And when she married my stepfather, she felt really bad for my stepsisters and took it to extremes. Like I said, she was my best friend, and I'd even been toying with the idea of making her my matron of honor if we decided to have a wedding versus just going to Vegas, which we were seriously considering. I met my mother for lunch at a restaurant. She was upset with me for taking my jewelry without telling her, saying I should have left a note because she just about had a heart attack when she got home and my stuff was gone. I told her she should have told me as soon as Betty left that Adam was the father of her baby. She said she hadn't wanted to get involved or in the middle, and by telling me when either Adam or Betty should have, would have meant that she was involved. Plus, she was in shock that Betty had told her that and wasn't really thinking about me. Oh, that's not good. I'm sorry. Like, even if you shouldn't get involved, like when there's information that is that important to your daughter's life, you just tell them. You worry about the consequences later, surely. I told her that happened most of the time when Betty was involved, ever since we were first introduced. She tried to convince me to take Adam back, that I shouldn't waste our 10 years together. I told her that Adam was the one who chose to throw away 10 years. She did tell me that she hadn't known when she'd convinced me into co-hosting that Adam was the father, and that she and my stepfather would cover my share of the gift and shower. I told her that I was her daughter, she gave birth to me, and I was not going to ever be able to forgive Betty. So if Mum wanted to keep being my mother, she needed to pick me for once. She said she couldn't do that she had been Betty's only mother figure, and she wholly considered Betty her daughter, and she really didn't want to get involved still. That if she had given birth to all three of us, her decision would still be the same. I told her that I was very sorry to hear that, and I wished her well. I'd call her every now and then, but I wasn't going to see her much or attend family gatherings, nor would any children of mine know my step-family. She said she was sorry to hear I was deciding that, and that she hoped I'd forgive and forget eventually and not tear the family apart. Yeah, because it's definitely OP that's tearing the family apart. I told her I was disappointed in her, but not particularly surprised, and Betty was the one who effed my fiance and tore the family apart. There we go. Then I said goodbye. I popped down my share of the bill, and I left. I'll call her in a couple of months, but for now I've got her and my stepfamily on their own ringtones, so I know to not answer them. If she insists on talking about Betty, Adam, or their baby on our phone calls, I won't speak to her until she learns not to do it. Yes, she very kindly admonished me for what I texted Betty, but I shrugged and told her that she's getting involved by telling me I shouldn't have sent that. Yes, I realised I shouldn't have sent Betty what I did, but I was annoyed and I'd finished off a bottle of wine, and frankly, she is a C word. I agree. As for Adam, he showed up about a few days after he told me with pizza, ice cream and flowers. I had his stuff sitting by the door and was more than willing to have him get it and go, but he convinced me to talk to him. He confessed that while I lost my virginity to him, he had lost his to Betty a few weeks before. What? It felt like he'd punched me in the face. I told him if I'd known that, I would have dumped his butt then and spent the remaining 9.5 years not being held back because he didn't want to leave our city or go on trips out of the country or get a freaking cat. He's super allergic. Or paint my nails. He's weird about nail polish. I haven't painted mine since we started dating seriously. He was apologetic, but said he loved me and wanted to work on things. I told him I wasn't going to be Betty's baby stepmother, that I wanted to live a 100% Betty-free life, and that if I were to take him back, he would have no contact with the woman he cheated on me with, which obviously wouldn't be possible if he's the kid's dad. He said that Betty told him there was a chance he wasn't the father after he told me, because, like I said, she's a C word. I told him there still was a chance he was though, and I wasn't going to risk it. Plus, that didn't change the fact that he betrayed me when we were first together and last year, and that was 2 times too many. He asked if we could still be friends, with, I'm 90% sure, the intent to win me back. I told him I'd think about it. No chance in heck of that happening. I talked to my dad. He lives across the country and we're on great terms, even though we only saw each other during the summer when I was growing up. I really like my stepmother, but our relationship had always been a bit shadowed because, well, I was a D and firmly pushed her away to not hurt my mum's feelings, which I'm pretty sure is some sort of weird irony. Dad offered to pay me to get me out of the rest of my lease and let me live in one of his rental houses for free if I want to move to his city. I'm going to do it. I've got a buttload of savings to last me a while until I found a job. I never wanted to stay in our home city forever, and I think being 2,000 miles away from my mum and the rest of them will really help. I'm going to work on my relationship with my stepmother too. First thing I'm going to do when I see her is apologize. I quit my job and I've spent the last few weeks relaxing, packing, planning, speaking to a therapist, looking at cats up for adoption in my dad's city, and reaching out to the handful of friends I have there from when I'd visit dad in the summer. Hopefully, someone will click and I'll have at least one good friend there. I bought myself way too much nail polish, got a manicure, and I spent a lot of money on a pair of boots I've wanted since forever, but held off on getting because, I couldn't splurge like that because I was going to get married. So, everything is going to be okay, I think. Thank you to everyone who commented and PM'd me with helpful advice and sympathy. So there we go. That is the conclusion of that story. A very good conclusion. I will say it is a little bit sad that, you've been in this relationship for 10 years and because of your love for Adam and the fact that he didn't like certain things, I don't want to say you've put your life on pause, or the truth is you haven't done things that you've always wanted to do, and now you're realizing that you can do them. It's sort of like, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it, really? Like, this whole time there were all these secrets that you never knew about, going back to before you even started dating, or at least before you guys first had sex, that if you'd known about could easily have changed the last 10 years of your life, which is a bit of a sorry thought, but I guess, now in a way, that's not really a positive. One thing I will say is that OP is clearly like a great person, quite funny as well. They've done a TLDR, a too long didn't read, at the bottom of this post, and it says, "Took Adam back, trying to talk Betty into naming the baby after me. Just kidding, I'm moving 2,000 miles away from them all and everything's probably going to be okay." And I'm not going to lie, I read that TLDR and I was like, surely not. That can't be the case. So I'm very happy that's not the case. Just good humor from OP. But I kind of get what OP's saying about their mum. And obviously only they know their mum. But I agree with the comments on Reddit. And I'm sure you guys are thinking the same thing. This is not a good mother. I get it. If you are a parent and there is serious beef is like a light word, but you know what I mean? Like serious familial issues that are going on between your children or other members of the family, you want to be impartial and be there for both parties. But when it's something like this, where someone is so clearly in the wrong and then your other child is just has been so hurt and has been destroyed by this, I don't think it's the right thing to do to be like, "Oh, I'm being impartial. I love you both." Surely you have to say, "No, that's disgusting what my stepdaughter's done." And by the way, I'm not for 1 second going into the whole, OP's more of your daughter than your stepdaughter. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's very fair what OP's mum is saying, that, they're both equal daughters to her, and even if she had birthed all of them, it wouldn't change anything. That's completely fine. But yeah, to then just say, "I love you both, let's not split the family up over this," that's just wrong in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think. But for me, I don't think I'd be able to do that, and I don't think I'd be able to look my mum in the face if she had that reaction, if that sort of thing happened in my life. Am I the jerk for cancelling my best friend's birthday party that I planned after she invited my bully? Anna has been my best friend since high school, and we've always been close. I'm organised and very good at planning, so I always enjoy planning stuff for us, and that includes her birthday parties. This year, she turned 25, and we agreed to organise a big party at my house. I spent $300 and 2 weeks prepping. I invited 20 mutual friends, which is usually the amount of people we'd have around. I was with Anna when I overheard her talking to Jess about the party. I found out she's invited Jess. Jess was my school bully. She and her friends never liked me, and I never liked the fact that Anna was my best friend talking to Jess. They aren't really too close, so I overlooked. Anna knows that Jess and her friends don't like me. She knew about it all, and at some point, Jess has asked her why she's still friends with me. I was mad about this invitation, and I told her I haven't seen Jess in years and I don't want to. Anna insisted that Jess has changed and she'll like me now since she's not so close with her crew anymore. I thought about it and I imagined seeing Jess again in the same room. All that didn't sit well with me, no matter how much she's changed. I just said no, and I told her that if Jess comes to the party, it's off. She said I was being dramatic and said she'll tell Jess not to come. But 2 days later, I looked into the group chat and Anna added Jess and posted, "Can't wait for Saturday at OP's house." I confronted Anna. She said I shouldn't worry. She's making sure she resolves everything between me and Jess. But I said no, and I don't want to. I cancelled the party and I told everyone it's off. I refunded what I could and I packed up the decorations. Anna called me selfish for ruining her party and not wanting to reconcile with Jess, her other friend. Now she sees me as a bad friend. Everyone thinks seeing Jess to talk about the old times was best and that Anna was trying to help me heal. The thing is, I don't want to heal, I just want to forget. So, am I the jerk for cancelling? Okay, very interesting one to start. For me, you're definitely not the jerk here. You're actually doing an amazing thing, to be fair. Like, really generous by hosting this, putting loads of money into it. I mean, if you've got your house, right, and it's not even your own party, and you're giving it up for your friend's birthday, and we all know that house parties can be inherently quite risky. Like, there will be at least some mess which you'll have to clean up. There could be some damage as well. Like, it's not just oh yeah, everyone come around to my house, it'll be fine for the majority of people. Then that's a big commitment. So you are well within your rights to cancel at any moment, by the way, if you don't feel comfortable. Now let's get into the actual content here. Jess, being your school bully, she has no place in your house. No matter the circumstances, no matter who wants her there, that's your decision. And if Anna is going to double down and say, look, it'll be fine, you need to heal, she has no idea what you need to do. And if you want to forget all about it, as I assume most people who have been bullied in school want to, like, why would you ever want to see your bully again? Then you are obviously well within your right to say no, and this isn't happening, by the way. Just a shame that you put so much money into it. I hope you can get a lot of refunds. But wow, being that generous to someone that doesn't really care if your high school bully gets invited to your house seems a bit backwards. I feel like you've got to take more of a look at the actual relationship with you and Jess than just this one isolated incident. That's a horrible thing to do to somebody. Also, just reading this back, I feel like Anna didn't even tell you that Jess had been invited. You only found out. So what was going to happen? She was just going to rock up, your school bully was going to rock up to your house and you just be like completely shocked and then probably traumatized? Disgusting. You're definitely not the jerk, and Anna definitely is. Am I the jerk for telling my girlfriend to stop sharing her food? My girlfriend always offers to share her food with everyone when we go out to eat. I've asked her why she does this, and she says it's just how she was raised, to always make sure that everyone else at the table is taken care of before she eats anything. I've told her multiple times that while it is an admirable gesture, she doesn't have to do that, and that no one will judge her for not offering her food because they have their own meals. This isn't just with shareable items either. She'll offer bites of her burger or pasta or soup and other things that are simply not easily split, usually ending up with another person taking direct bites or stabbing their used forks and depositing their saliva into her food. Aside from the ick factor, I've also told her that she really needs to avoid offering her meal when we dine out with my friend Brian, because he's the type of person who has no self-control with food and zero social awareness to understand that help yourself does not mean you can eat all of it and I won't mind. This has happened a lot in the past, where he'll house 90% of a shared appetizer plate because the rest of us were talking and being polite, and he just assumed that meant we weren't hungry. I wouldn't care as much if he paid for it, but he's almost always broke and doesn't seem to understand what tax and tips are. If the item was listed as $11.99 on the menu, when the check comes, he'll toss in exactly $12 and think he's square. I know most of you are going to ask why I'm even still friends with Brian if I hate eating with him, but please understand that he's a really great guy and a reliable friend. he just has a troublesome relationship with food. That's not the only facet of his personality, just the only one relevant to this post. Last night, we were out again with friends, and my girlfriend once again offered her meal to everyone, Brian included. I didn't want to make a scene, but I gave her a little nudge, and she just gave me a shrug in return. Unsurprisingly, Brian ended up eating most of her food, as well as his own plate, and my girlfriend didn't say anything. On the way home, she asked if we could stop by a fast food place because she didn't get much to eat, and I told her she should have just eaten the food she ordered instead of offering it to the table. I said this was exactly why I warned her, and that she's seen the way Brian is with food, and that she shouldn't have been surprised when he ate more than she was actually intending to let him. I still stopped to get her something, but I also complained that I don't enjoy paying for Brian's meal, since he basically ate all of hers. I might have been harsh, but this has come up multiple times, and she knows I'm not a fan of it. I could tell she was upset when I said it, and she still is now. She hasn't called me a jerk, but she's making me feel like one. And I think we're both expecting the other to apologize first. So, am I the jerk? Oh, now this is a really, really interesting one. Immediately, I want to say that OP is the jerk here. Like 100% is the jerk. That's just sort of the superficial 2D answer though, because I think there's more to unpack here. Firstly, we need to talk about your girlfriend, OP, and how generous she is and how she loves being generous, and that's clearly part of her personality. To offer her food up to other people at the table is clearly something that she has always done, and yeah, she's clearly a selfless person that enjoys doing that, and yeah, welcomes other people in, says, yeah, have some of my food, I don't mind, I'll go a little bit hungry as long as everyone's enjoying themselves and it's something I want to do. So by you saying to not do that, even though it probably does make logical sense to you, this is not the time to be logical, because it's going against what she wants and it's going against her entire personality. So I'm not surprised that she was upset. Now, there are other things within this post where I don't think you're the jerk. For example, Brian should be paying more money for his food, or at least, you know, what he should be paying for his food is what he needs to be paying for his food, not less. And also, maybe there is a conversation to be had there about Brian going to these meals in the first place if he is just going to eat everyone's food. Like, that is a conversation though that you need to have with Brian. It doesn't really have anything to do with your girlfriend. So that aside, yeah, you're being a jerk. And also, you know, if your girlfriend wants to give food to her friends and make sure everyone's happy, and then she's not hungry and has to go and get food afterwards, that's fine as well. Like, that's part of the deal with what she's doing, and she knows that. It's not as if she is going hungry and then doesn't enjoy the fact that she's going hungry and then doesn't want to go and get any other food and is not getting enough food when she goes to these events, goes to these meals. It's like she wants to do this and then she'll get food later. That's, as I said, her personality. So by you taking that away from her and being like, you got to stop doing this, when actually what you're saying is you need to stop being generous, yeah, I can understand why she's upset. A bit of a complicated one, but I do think, I don't want to say jerk, but yeah, you are the jerk because you're not listening to your girlfriend. I mean, ultimately, just tell Brian not to eat all her food. I think it's as simple as that. Am I the jerk for dyeing the sweater my sister-in-law knitted for me? My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, offered to make me a sweater. I'm also a knitter, and I understand the time and effort that goes into a project. I said yes, but I asked if I could pick out the colour, and also said I'd happily pay for the yarn. She declined and said she wanted it as an excuse to use up her stash. She is a big time, teehee, I have a stash beyond life expectancy type. She finished the sweater for me, and it fit great, but it was in a beige colour that I'd never wear. I'm a soft autumn who favours plums, roses, terracottas, olives, etc. I don't like plain colours very much, but I love the look of the sweater, so I ended up dyeing it to a pretty green. I reach for it all the time. I wore it when I was hanging out with my family and she was there. She said it looked like the one she'd made me. I said, yeah, it is, but I've dyed it. She stared at me for a long time and finally said, I wish you would have told me you were going to do something like that. I wouldn't have wasted my Malabrigo on you. I was taken aback and I told her that I absolutely loved the sweater, I just would never have worn it as a beige sweater. She got the sour lemon look on her face and said she'd keep in mind to never knit anything for me ever again. She got up, left the room, and I didn't talk to her for the rest of the night. I live in a different city than my family, so I probably won't see her again for a while. She has every right to not knit for me again, but was dyeing that sweater really that big of a deal? I thought it would be better for me to dye the colour I would wear than for me to never wear it. So am I the jerk? Oh, okay, tricky one. Very, very tricky one, because I put myself in your sister-in-law's position. First of all, OP, I make someone a nice thing, and when I see it the next time, it's different. They've altered it, so it's not the exact same piece as the one I made for them. Yeah, I probably would be a little bit disappointed in that, because it's like, oh, it wasn't good enough, you've changed it. So I do understand it slightly from your sister-in-law's point of view, but having said all of that, if you weren't ever going to wear it, and you sort of told her, like, yeah, I don't really like that colour, but she then made it for you in that colour anyway, I think you're well within your rights to change something that you really like, by the way, and make it so it's one of the first things you pick up, as you said, rather than something that you never wear. Also, she has said that it was like her throwaway stuff, right? Or like she needs to get through this type of yarn. It's not as if she has chosen this particular colour for you. It's more of a, I'm going to make this in this yarn because this is what I've got left, rather than I'm doing this for you. So I sort of get it from your sister-in-law's perspective, but you are definitely not the jerk here. And also, it's not as if you've like ripped it up or completely changed it or like dismantled it and you're using the yarn for yourself. You've just changed the color. There's nothing crazy. Am I the jerk for causing a scene at my boyfriend's work? So I, a 22-year-old woman, and my boyfriend, who is 23, were going for a dinner in a restaurant that he works at as a pastry chef. I ordered a Caesar tortilla, and after 45 minutes of waiting, I received a Caesar salad. I said to him, that's not what I've ordered, and he told me to wait and that he'll go to the kitchen himself and make me a tortilla. After a few minutes, he came back with the plate. It was just the previously made salad stuffed in the tortilla. The crispy breadcrumbs from the salad were inside. I told him I'm not going to eat that because that's not what I ordered. He told me that it's basically the same thing and that I should just eat it. But it's not the same thing. I especially wanted the tortilla because of the crispy bacon and the cheese that melts inside, but in the salad there are just thin slices that I don't even like the taste of. He told me that the kitchen will close soon. When I ordered it was 9 PM, kitchen closes at 11 and the restaurant at 12, and that I should just eat it because I was complaining for the last 3 to 4 hours that I'm starving. I told him that this is not the point, we can just go somewhere else to eat. He ended up telling his colleague, the waitress, to take it off the bill, and we went to a fast food place to eat. He ended up being mad because I caused the scene and made him ashamed in front of his colleagues. Mind you, I'm the quiet type, so I've just told him that I won't eat that, and then he talked to his colleague. So am I the jerk for not just eating something that I didn't order? Also, more context. It went down like this. I told the waitress, "Excuse me, but I've ordered the tortilla." She seemed annoyed but said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll make it." My boyfriend then told me to wait and went down there to make a tortilla. When he came back with the dish, I told him I don't want to eat the salad stuffed in the tortilla and that it's not important anymore. We can just go anywhere else to eat. I said this in a normal tone. I really wasn't mad, just hungry. He told me, "Just eat it." I refused, and then he called the waitress and told her to take it off the bill. We left and I ate somewhere else. He told me that I've embarrassed him because him telling his colleague to take it off the bill is, quote, causing a scene. And that's the whole story. He'd been working there for a few months and he got the job because my dad's good friend is the co-owner. Okay, you are definitely not the jerk here at all. What is your boyfriend doing, by the way? Like, it's just a bit strange. Even like him going down to the kitchen and making you a meal when he's with you. That's a little bit weird. I get that he didn't want to do that, but then it's the restaurant's fault that they gave you the wrong meal and that it took 45 minutes. So, like, what are you supposed to do with that? And then you can't just get, like, the remnants of your food repackaged and him be like, yeah, look, it's fine, eat it. Yeah, you could eat it, but you didn't order it. It's not what you wanted. It's not what you're going to pay for. And you're not making a scene. He was the one that made the scene. Ultimately, your boyfriend should have said to the waitress, look, this isn't what my girlfriend ordered. Can we have what we actually ordered, please? Simple as that. Yeah, it would have taken longer, but, you know, if you order something at a restaurant and you don't get it, you're well within your right to say, no, I want what I ordered. It is also slightly weird that he's taken you to his restaurant and it's taken 45 minutes to get a tortilla that isn't actually a tortilla, it's just a Caesar salad, and it's wrong. That doesn't really fill me with a lot of confidence about him or the restaurant. Like, surely if you worked at a restaurant and you took your girlfriend there, you'd want to make sure that she had almost like the VIP experience. Obviously, the waitresses, the waiters know who he is. You'd expect them to sort of be like, oh yeah, we'll make it as good as possible and it'll be quick, etc. Like, you'd be pushed to the front of the line and have a good experience, but that didn't happen at all. Yeah, interesting about the restaurant, but also your boyfriend as a whole. Just slightly strange. Am I the jerk for abusing the bus stop chain so I don't miss my stop? I take a bus connection route on my way to work every morning. The public transport in my city in Southern California is not great, but I'm lucky that this bus route works for me. It's been a few months since I started taking this route, and there's so many things I find annoying. Unlike buses I've taken before and the underground trains, buses don't announce the next stops outside of main stops. Second, buses don't stop at those other stops and will skip over unless someone pulls the chain for it to stop. I've even asked the bus drivers to help guide me, but most don't seem to like their job and are of no help really. I try to find ways to ensure I get to my stop without issues. I use Google Maps, the official tracking app, as well as the actual map of the bus route, but online only always shows me when I've already skipped my stop. And it's frustrating. There's no announcements or any main stops I can put a mental pin on my stop with, and the bus doesn't stop. I even try to check my surroundings, but I take the bus early every morning at 5:50 a.m. and it's still relatively dark outside. It's frustrating. So, lately, when I have a fair idea that I am near, I track the minutes and the seconds, I pull the chain. Most of the time, the bus is forced to stop for like 5 seconds before resuming again, and I can generally tell the next stop is mine. I don't like doing this, but if I don't, I always miss it, and I have to walk 20 minutes to work when it would take me less than 3. Yesterday it happened again, and the bus driver called me out and was clearly annoyed with me. I apologized briefly, but I still don't know what the solution is. Okay, a lot to unpack on this one. My first point is that I don't really understand how you can't know where you are on a bus route that you take most days, right? I get it's dark in the morning, but if you're getting, it's not like you've not got this bus route before. Surely you know where you are, or you can work out where you are. I also don't agree with this Google Maps thing, like where it shows you that you're behind where you are. I don't get it. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world to call the stop before your stop, but to do it consistently every single day, it just shows me that you can't have like a good practice in place for knowing where you are on a bus. Maybe I'm being too cynical there. I don't know exactly how the buses work in this situation. Don't know where this is either. But I mean, the buses in London are pretty similar. They won't stop unless someone's hailed it or you press the bus stop sign or the stopping sign. And I have at times pressed the stop sign before the stop that I want to get off at accidentally, and then realised and then actually not got off. And it is a bit annoying when you press the stop sign, no one gets on, no one gets off. It's not the end of the world though. But yeah, it's just a bit weird that you can't work out where you are on a bus that you get every morning. Strange. I don't want to say you're the jerk, because I just think you might be a bit dumb. Am I wrong here? Like, get in the comments. Do you get on a bus and not know where you are if you take that bus route to work every day or whatever? Surely you know where you are. Unless the bus has blacked out windows or something, like even if it's dark outside. I don't know. Very, very strange post. Am I the jerk for not warning people that a character in a friend's book was based on me? My best friend, Cass, is an author who has a few books out. There are bits and pieces of me and everyone else she loves in everything she does, but she wrote a character heavily based on me for her most recent book. Personality, appearance, some life events, etc. There is a love interest who is also based heavily on a friend of ours, Riley, in the same way. The characters end up together. We all met in college for what it's worth. Riley and I have also never dated, hooked up, or anything like that. I knew this was happening. We have a tradition where I read her third draft, but Riley is not a huge reader, so I never mention it to them. Same with my husband. The book came out and I didn't even think about it because while the character is based on me, it's not me. Well, sometime later, we were at another friend's house when Riley was there. Cass asked Riley if they'd read the book. Riley said they were surprised to find out we ended up together and felt it was odd. My husband asked what Riley meant. Cass said the characters were based on us. My husband was surprised. They both asked why we didn't tell them ahead of time. Both of them feel blindsided and uncomfortable about it. I said that in my defense, I don't go spilling details about Cass's books in general. And again, the characters are not actually us, and most readers, unless they are the creepy fandom stalkery types, would have no way of knowing. So should I have told them? Yeah, you definitely should have told them. It's not a very nice surprise to be sprung on your husband, is it at all, when you realise that this character in a book is based on your wife and is just getting with another one of your friends. Like, that's just weird anyway. I know it's not actually you and your friend isn't actually them, but it's a bit like, what's going on here? What's the point of this? Slightly strange from Cass as well to not tell people. Also, it seemed like you worked it out as well. It wasn't like Cass even told you that. And then the fact that Cass asked Riley if they'd read the book and didn't tell Riley before that they were clearly a character in the book that then got with somebody in the friend group who they're not actually with in real life. That's also extremely peculiar. Yeah, overall, you are the jerk here because you should have said, but Cass is definitely worse. It's just again, kind of bizarre. I don't want to say like, oh yeah, they're a horrible person. It's just like strange behavior, kind of like the last one. Am I the jerk for having and using emergency spices at dinner? I, a 28-year-old man, was raised by my parents to always smile and stomach it when I'm a guest in someone's house and they serve food that I didn't enjoy. I've carried this into adulthood because I think it's just eat polite. If I really don't like a meal I'm served, I'll just eat a little bit of it and maybe grab food on the way home. But recently, I was in a store and found little tiny bottles of the spice tagine, which I love. They were 50 cents, so I got like 12 of them, and now when I have a bad meal, I just wait for attention to be away from me, and I pop a dose of tagine in, and that masks whatever flavour I don't like. Recently, I was at a family gathering, and my aunt served this weird concoction of chicken, sausage, peppers, and onions in a cream sauce on plain white rice. It tasted both bland and weird. So when attention was away, I dosed it with the tagine. But my food had bits in it and looked red, so my family noticed, and I had to come clean and explain. My aunt was very offended and asked if I just hated her cooking. I said no, she has made great food, I just didn't like this meal. She asked why I didn't say anything, and I told her I was raised to just smile and bear it when I had a meal I didn't enjoy as a guest. The tagine was just my way of helping me do that. This made her more upset and start an argument with my parents. So now the whole family is annoyed with me. Okay, interesting one once again here. We're sort of getting back-to-back jerks. This one I think is you are more of the jerk, OP. This might be the biggest jerk so far, apart from the boyfriend one, the second post, where he wasn't happy with you sharing food. I think you are the jerk here, because it's not sort of what you did, it's sort of what you said. I think the fact that you said that you have to use this spice to, I think the quote is bear with the food or bear the food, right? And then your aunt is well within her rights to say what, so you think it's rubbish, and then you say no, I just need like to completely change the flavor of it for it to be edible. That's just not a nice thing to say. If you'd said something different, like I just like more spice or whatever, I think it would have been okay. I do think it is slightly weird anyway, bringing your own spices to someone else's dinner. But then again, you know, adding salt and pepper to stuff is completely fine. Adding like another condiment or something I think is also completely fine. I think it's more just the way you did it, because it's obvious that you just don't like the food at all, rather than you think it needs a little bit more flavor, which is completely fine. I mean, I made chili con carne for my friends the other day when they came round, and I literally said to them, look, you might need a bit more, if you want a bit more like chili powder or salt, pepper, whatever, whack it on, sour cream. Some of them added that, some of them didn't. So I sort of left it up to them. But I wouldn't be offended if you know, someone had a couple of bites and was like, all right, I'll add a bit more salt, a bit more pepper, a bit more chili powder. That's completely fine. If One of them had just got out a brand new spice, put it on, and then I'd be like, oh, what's that? And they said, yeah, sorry, I've been told, and I always have done this, by the way, if I don't like food and I have to just bear with it, then yeah, don't say anything, but just add my own spice. I'll be like, you are weird, get out. So yeah, I think it's the way you did it that made you the jerk, rather than what you actually did. It's just pretty weird though overall. Once again, there's been a whole episode full of weird people, which I kind of like, to be fair. Am I the jerk for getting home insurance cancelled? A friend had a birthday party at their house for their daughter, who is 11. My daughter, who was 10, was invited. Eventually, the kids decided to play football, and the birthday girl's dad was throwing the football, and my daughter was running to catch it. This is important to know for later. Last summer, while out of town, my friends had an above-ground pool that broke and flooded the backyard. It caused a massive amount of damage. Their homeowner's insurance got involved because of the structural damage that this pool breaking caused. Due to the construction that they had been having, the area where they were playing football had ruts in the ground from the machinery that they'd had in the backyard to reconstruct the retaining wall. As my daughter was running to catch this football, she tripped over a rut. When she fell into a large metal box that was the housing for the pool pump and water intake / outflow. The box and something inside broke, and water began flooding the backyard. They turned the water off, but they had to turn the water mains off because of the way that they decided to fix this pump when the pool broke originally. So they were without water for about 48 hours until they could get a plumber to come out and actually fix this pump correctly. When my daughter fell, she broke her collarbone and she severely sprained her ankle and knee. About a week ago, we received a certified letter from our friends informing us that they were charging us for the cost of repairs to this broken pump, the cost of the water damage to the backyard, as well as them being without water for 48 hours. Now here's where I may be the jerk, because immediately upon receipt, I called their homeowner's insurance. This is information I had previously from discussing the situation that had developed over the summer with my friend, so that I could submit my daughter's medical bills to them. So I could be the jerk because I'm being petty. My friend called upset that I would report this to their homeowner's insurance because their homeowner's insurance had already increased due to their claim, and now they received information that they were being dropped due to their excessive claims. Do I have medical insurance for my child? Yeah, I do. Up until I received the certified letter, my husband and I were going to cover the cost of my daughter's injury ourselves. So I could be the jerk because I'm being petty. My friend called upset that I would report this to their homeowner's insurance because their homeowner's insurance had already increased due to their claim, and now they received the information that they were being dropped due to their excessive claims. Okay, thank goodness we have ended this on a not the jerk, because it was getting slightly strange there for a good period of time. However, this story once again involves weird people. Imagine you have people over to your house, someone like does something or like causes some sort of issue, but it's not their fault at all. It's your own fault because of how your house is, or like, you know, the fact that there are ruts that can be tripped over in the back garden and you can fall into a large metal box. That's on you. That's not on the kid that's running around playing catch. So to then go to that family and say, you need to pay for all this damage, when the damage was ultimately caused by what you'd done in the past and the fact that you haven't really, you know, made your house good again after the previous issue, that's just ridiculous. And by the way, OP is well within their rights to not have to use their own insurance, own medical insurance, and say, look, this happened because there's something wrong with the house, not because my daughter just fell over and broke her collarbone just randomly. Yeah, again, very, very strange. I mean, really, you should be the one, in theory, claiming against them for your daughter's health anyway. Like, again, you wouldn't do that because it's just not the thing that you would do. You would say, I've got medical insurance, I'll cover it. They would apologize, obviously, because it's their fault that your daughter fell into a vat or something. I mean, maybe they should pay for it anyway. But again, you wouldn't go to insurance for any of this stuff. I mean, like, they have to go to the insurance for all the water damage or whatever. Of course they do. But they don't try and claim it against your daughter. Absolutely insane. And yeah, you're well within your rights to then go, well, if you're doing that, I'm doing this. They are weird and you are not. There we go. My fiance left me for the one that got away. but now wants me back. This was originally posted back in November 2015. My fiance and I had been together 3 years. I am a 24-year-old woman and he is a 27-year-old man. He was my first boyfriend. We laughed, cried, worried, and were happy together. Our families had mixed really well. Our mums became close friends really fast. He was my best friend, my confidant, my support, my comfort. I looked at him and could see our future together. God, I'm even crying remembering one time we took a blanket, went outside, and looked up at the stars like in some book. I never thought something like this could happen to me. The man I loved could have never done anything like that to me. It all started about 2 months ago. His ex, his high school sweetheart, they were together 7 years, moved back to our country and wanted to catch up with Mark. He told me they broke up because they were unable to sustain a long-distance relationship when she left to pursue postgraduate studies. They hadn't been in contact for about 5 years. She sent him an email. He showed it to me, and it was completely platonic. She was just curious about what he'd become. He asked me if he could meet her, and I said yes. I trusted him. So, he went. But when he came back, he was a bit withdrawn. He's usually really chatty, but he was dismissive when I asked him how it went, etc. I let it go. However, the following weeks, he was often on his phone. He picked random fights with me and didn't look me in the eyes when we had sex. He didn't whisper loving words either. I'm really touchy and clingy, and in our 3 years together, he'd never once recoiled or refused my embrace, but he started doing it. I usually hug him like a koala when he comes back home from work. I'm a bit childish, I know, but he only let me do it twice. It was such a sudden change. I asked him what was wrong, but he just said he wasn't feeling too good nowadays. On a Saturday, I went to visit his grandma, as we usually knit together. She taught me, and I was gone the whole day. I feel really close to her because she adopted me easily and reminds me of my own, who died when I was in high school. When I came back, I found him packing his stuff. My whole world fell apart. He was being so cowardly. He told me he was sorry for making me suffer like this, but sometimes life gives you a second chance and you have to recognize it for what it is. That he loved me, but when he met his ex, he realized the feelings weren't the same. He said he regretted letting go of her, that he'd found himself again, that it had been a difficult choice for him, but he had to take this chance. His ex wanted him back. She had realized what she'd lost and risked losing for good when he told her he was getting married. He supposedly refused her at first, but as time passed and they talked together, his old feelings came back. He hoped I would forgive him one day and understand. I cried as he was talking. It sounds stupid, but it was as if it was a stranger in front of me. He said he would still pay rent and part of the bills until our lease was up and I can find another place. He makes a lot more than me, and I wouldn't be able to afford living in our apartment on my own. I begged him not to make this mistake, that he was being fooled by an idealized memory of their past together, that he was having cold feet. But he was like a wall, he didn't even look at me. At about 10 PM, there was a truck outside with one of his friends waiting for him. He apparently came to help him move. I wasn't really close with that particular friend, but he did seem sorry for me. Mark hugged me goodbye and left. I hadn't cried that hard in years. I slept in our spare room, not to feel the emptiness of our room with his things gone. I sunk to the deepest pathetic and tried to call him, but it went to voicemail. I had no idea where he went, but I assumed he was now living with his ex after 3 weeks of talking again. How ridiculous. I'm really lucky to have supportive friends and family. My best friend even moved in for 5 days. My parents wanted me back home with them, but I wasn't ready to leave. Mark is a bit messy and I'm a manic, so it felt weird having everything perfectly neat. I missed his messiness. It was as if he was the one making our house a home. He used to joke about me wanting the house to look like it was on sale or in a catalogue. Not waking up to make breakfast, not seeing him read lying on the sofa while I studied, felt weird. Not buying his favourite snack or powder proteins when doing groceries felt weird. I felt really lost at first. It was like grieving. Usually, when people break up, their relationship was going south, but to me it came out of nowhere. I still loved him. I was still planning the wedding and working on my side to build our future together. It was all gone in a day. I wish I'd been smarter and refused that he meet his one that got away. His family was dumbfounded. I still went to see his grandma, and she told me that he was a fool, that he'd come back crawling to me. She was the first person who managed to make me laugh. His mum, my mum, and I started making calls to cancel all reservations. Luckily, the store accepted to take back the dress. We didn't pay much for the location as we cancelled early. Next was to inform the guests. He'd been gone for about 3 weeks then. His family was furious with him, so they didn't contact him much. The only contact I had with him was the signed check he made to cover the wedding cancellation. However, about a week ago, I received a letter from him. He apologised for leaving me like this, said he made the biggest mistake of his life, that he couldn't even believe what he had done, that he was writing me this letter because he didn't have the courage to face me. You were right, it reads. I was running after a perfect relationship that had never existed. I regret it so much. I thought I was in love with her, but in reality I was in love with what she represented, my younger self with no responsibility and only dreams. I had cold feet and got afraid of moving forward into this new segment of my life. I couldn't stop thinking about you when I was with her. She is not you. She doesn't know me or love me like you. She doesn't smell like you. I missed hearing you sing randomly throughout the day. I missed having someone nagging me to pick up my stuff. I missed planning Halloween parties for the kids with you. At the time I'm writing this letter, we would have probably been decoration shopping had I not been a fool. Everyone told me, but I was being a blind fool. I would do anything to go back in the past and slap some sense into myself. I would do anything for you to forgive me. I know we've already started cancelling everything, but I'm ready to pay for everything myself. You can date someone else to even scores if you want, as long as you come back to me. How about that for a final line? Wow. I would write out the whole letter, OP continues now, but I'm on my iPad and it's tiring. I just said the important parts. He kept on with the apologies and begging me to forgive him. Now, I told my family, left my friends out for the moment, and his mum and grandma what he'd said. His grandma had a very satisfying told you so moment. However, she is rooting for me to forgive him. His mum was supposed to send a formal letter to guests to tell them the wedding was off, but now she's waiting for my answer. I don't know what to do. I love him with all my heart, but what he did to me, I don't know if I can get over it. He made me feel worthless. He threw me away as if I was no one to him after 3 years. He gave up on us for some ghosts from his past when we were at our happiest. If he can leave me when we're doing good, how will we sustain a marriage? Will he leave the moment things get hard? He hurt me so badly and expects me to forgive him. He wants us to meet on Sunday, but I'm not sure I'm willing to. I need some perspective. What would you do in my situation? Wow. Okay, let's jump straight into the comments before we get to the first of 2 updates on this story. Somebody asked, just a thought, how do you know that the old girlfriend didn't call it off, sending him back to pick up the pieces? Definitely don't be second choice. The right people don't need second chances. You deserve much more. OP replied, it's true, I still have no idea where he is currently or if he still lives with her, but honestly, I don't think I should even care to clarify. You guys have let it down really well for me, and I can even see things I hadn't considered with what he did. I want to just answer, please do not contact me again and be done. However, I don't know if that's proper. Someone else said, do not take him back. Tell him, sorry, life isn't giving you a second chance at this. Then find someone who will never, ever crush you like that. OP replied, I know this is the smartest thing to do, but I'm having a hard time doing it. I'm even trying to rationalize his actions, but I guess it would be best to just separate for good. Someone else then replied to this saying, do you want to spend a lifetime with a man who's always thinking the grass is greener in other pastures? Temporary pain is better than a lifetime of worry. And OP replied to this saying, I know deep inside that going back to him would be stupid. A part of me still loves him, and I got used to having his family in my life. But I need to move on for my own good. I definitely can find someone who wouldn't do this to me. I should be glad this happened before the wedding, but it was so unlike him that it's making me doubt. I need to reconcile the image I have of him with what his actions have showed me he is. I think OP has summed it up pretty well there at the end. This is not someone that you want to be with, and I agree with that comment, right? If someone's going to leave you like this at the drop of a hat, seemingly everything is going really well, you're about to get married and then they're gone, yeah, you're going to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life if you are with that person. And on top of that, yeah, I do further agree. Like, things are going well right now. What about if things are going badly? Surely they are more likely to leave in that scenario, right? Like, I get it. It's probably extremely tough because the man you love, yeah, he's effed up very, very badly. But then he's saying to you, I'm sorry, I made such a mistake, please take me back, and you still love him, of course. So it's hard to just be like, no, I'm moving on. But you have to do that. You really do. For your own sake. Okay, now let's get into the update. This came 6 days later. I didn't plan on updating, or at least not so soon, but I have another problem. I'm really thankful to everyone who answered and comforted me. You guys gave me the strength to look forward and not make a decision based on nostalgia. I felt really alone in my pain, but thanks to you, I felt a little less lonely. So, Mark wanted to meet on Sunday, but I unblocked him from my phone and told him I didn't want to meet and to please not contact me anymore. He answered, "Please, baby, I need to talk to you. Can we meet another day? I know I effed up really bad and hurt you deeply, but I'll do anything to make it up to you. Anything you ask, I'll do it." Needless to say, it just angered me more. How dare he use terms of endearment with me? I just blocked him again after that. I met his mum on Saturday and told her to proceed with the notification of cancellation. We had an emotional moment, and she told me, even though she would have really wanted us to stay one big family, she would have done the same in my place. That's a good woman right there. Despite the fact that her son is her son, she still realizes that he is massively effed up and, yeah, doesn't deserve to be with OP, which is a great thing to accept and to actually say to OP, I think. So yeah, fair play to Mark's mum. She had hoped I would find the strength to forgive him, but she understands. And so the wedding is indeed still being cancelled. I mean, that is actually very refreshing. The amount of parents who do not care what their children have done, and sometimes it's absolutely disgusting what they've done, and they still back them just because they are their parents, is sometimes quite worrying. This is, as I said, refreshing. My poor brother, I told him personally, had already bought his plane tickets from Australia, but he did get a refund. I rearranged all the furniture in the house and bought new bedding sets to make a new start, and I moved to the spare room for good. It looks really different, and I like it. Apparently, he told our friends, because some brought it up to me, asking if we're getting back together, but they said they didn't want to side. On Sunday evening, I had a visitor. I never have people coming this late usually. It was around 9 PM. When I went to look through the peephole, I saw Mark with his ex. What? I seriously had a moment of panic. He must still have the key for the main entry since he managed to get to my door without using the intercom. I don't know if it was a cowardly thing to do, but I just chose not to open. No, that's the right thing to do. I know they knew I was there, and I heard him ask me to please let him in, that he just wanted to talk through the door. Honestly, even though I feel better, I don't think I'm emotionally stable enough to deal with him, and especially him with his ex. They stayed for about 15 minutes, and then they left. I thought we'd get the message, but they came again yesterday around the same time, and I didn't open again. They waited even longer. I know I'm not being an adult. I would disagree with that so strongly. Do not open the door under any circumstances. What is he doing coming, first of all, and then with his ex as well? Or I don't even know if they are together or whatever. Like, what is going on there? That is insane. So now I don't know what to do. I feel nervous in my own house because I dread the moment they'll come back. He knows my schedule, and he came at the time where I usually come back from my Zumba class. However, yesterday was a holiday, so we didn't have that class. I'm afraid he'll come again, and I don't think I can face him. So what should I do? I know I can't run away forever, but I need more time. Is this worth calling the police over? I fear it would make the problem bigger than it is and hurt our family relations. Our mums are really close, and really, he's not dangerous, I think. He didn't contact me enough for it to be considered harassment anyway. Should I just be a big girl and open the next time he or they come, or do I wait it out? Also, why the heck is he bringing her? I am curious, but I want to stand by my decision. Once again, jumping straight to the comments here. What on earth? Someone said, make use of his family connections. Call his mum. Explain that he has dropped by and that you want him to stop. Tell her that he's come by your place twice already, but you didn't want to talk to him or let him in. Tell her that he is not welcome to come by your home. If there's a third visit, you'll be forced to pursue a restraining order, and you would rather not have to go that road. It's also worth mentioning that he was with the girl when he dropped by. My bet is that he thinks you talking to her will persuade you that there is nothing between them. He likely thinks the reason you won't take him back is because you do not believe that their relationship is over. The reality is that you will never take him back because he shattered the trust. His current relationship status has zero bearing on that shattered trust. Also, move. Start the process of finding a new apartment. If you're locked into a lease, talk with your landlord and explain that you have an ex who keeps coming around even after he's been told not to. Lots of landlords have more than one apartment building and might be able to accommodate you moving into another of their units. My dad owns a few buildings and has done exactly this on more than one occasion. Opie replied, I cannot pursue a restraining order on him as it's his house and for the moment he's done nothing illegal. I could talk to his mum, but I doubt he would listen honestly, and I don't want to drag her into this business. I can see how he would think it might help, but honestly, just imagining having to sit with them both makes me feel uncomfortable. I would have to look at them and think about what they did to my life, and it would just cause me distress. My landlord isn't exactly the friendly type, so I don't know if I can bring personal issues like this as a reason. Most likely he would ask for a meeting with the both of us, and in the best case, it would take about 3 months, as that's the minimum time required to notify our landlord about our desire to end the lease earlier before we can move. I do definitely need to look for a new apartment though. Someone replied to this saying, no, her lunatic son is her business, and he's harassing you, and legally you say you can't call the cops on him, so what is your recourse? Let her know that her idiot son keeps being idiotic and she should try to help him out before he goes far enough that you do have legal recourse. Opie replied, I mean that he's a grown man and his mum has her own things to attend to. Honestly, she is already taking time to help me cancel the wedding, so I feel bad about asking more from her and I don't want to touch their relationship by involving her in this ex-couple fight. I'll try talking with her, but when he first left, he didn't consider his family's opinion. I guess I'm just worried about having my problems affect other people. Yeah, but your ex is coming to the place you live with the girl that he left you for. That is just disgusting. You have to get people involved. Someone else said, can you stay with your family or a friend for a few weeks until he gives up? Since you said his name is still on the lease, I suspect you can't call the police on him or legally bar him from stopping by, but you can make sure you aren't there to deal with it. You could ask a very trusted, close friend to house sit for you while you stay elsewhere. If he stops by again, they tell him to F off and leave you alone and you won't have to. Don't beat yourself up for not answering. Honestly, I think that's a mature decision given the circumstances. You're recognizing that you just don't have the emotional energy to deal with it right now. P.S. Why the F is he bringing his ex with him? The age-old question. Opie replied, I don't want to inconvenience people, so I'll probably go and live with my parents. However, I live close to my workplace, and having to do all that just to avoid him is so upsetting. I looked into the laws concerning harassment where I live, and for the moment, he doesn't qualify. He only came twice to a house that's in his name anyway. I really have no idea why he's bringing his ex. I was so surprised, it makes no sense. It's making me curious, too, and a part of me wants to hear what he has to say, but it would probably not do any good to my resolve. And then finally somebody said, Grandma is wiser than most people on this Reddit combined. Tell her your honest fears and reservations. Let her talk to him for you, then take her advice after all of that. Opie said, I really want to talk to her to be honest, but I'm postponing it the most I can. I don't want to face the reality that I'll have to tell her we might not be able to keep our relationship as I'm not returning with her grandson. Wow, I mean, pretty brutal. But again, the one saving grace in this story is that Mark's mum and grandma sound like very sensible people and you're close with them. So yeah, I agree with all of this. Use those family connections. Okay, now there is one more update to this one. This comes 4.5 years later, by the way. A huge jump now to September 2020. So this is going to be the conclusion. My fiance broke our engagement off when his high school girlfriend moved to our city. They quickly got engaged, married, and had a baby before it had even been a year. Whoa. Okay, we have just jumped straight into that. So that is what happened next. They got engaged, married, and had a baby before it had even been a year. Wow. I was so blindsided and hurt. I don't think I ever really got over my ex, which is why I'm making this post to get some outside insight. And I repeat, this is 4.5 years later now. My ex reached out a few days ago to catch up. He claimed he regretted breaking up with me 2 months after he did, but because his ex-wife was pregnant at the time, he felt he owed it to his son to try and make it work. He said their relationship quickly fell apart when he realized his ex wasn't looking for a life partner, but someone to financially support her. He said the financial issues is what finally led to their divorce. They've been divorced for 6 months and have 2 children together. According to him, his ex regularly tries to get back together with him, but he doesn't want her. He ended up asking me if I was willing to give him a second chance. In some ways, my ex has become my one who got away, and I probably would have jumped at the chance to get back with him a few months ago. However, I've recently been talking to this guy, and while we aren't official or anything, we did go on a date 2 weeks ago, which went really well. I feel like it could progress into something good, and I don't know if my ex is worth losing it over. I'd appreciate any advice on what to do in this situation. What on earth have I just read there? This is like, we're sort of back at square one in a way, like it's cyclical. I just have to sort of understand what I've just read there, genuinely. Because, what? There are like multiple things to unpack. First of all, you saying that until a few months ago, and again, this is 4.5 years later, you would have taken him back because he has become the one that got away for you in the way that his high school girlfriend was the one that got away for him. That, I think, alone is I don't know if it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty sad, but like, it's crazy that it's been 4 years and you still haven't really got over him or moved on at all. Maybe that's to be expected. I mean, it was the man you loved, you were going to get married to, and yeah, maybe that actually isn't that abnormal, to be fair, at all. It's just sad, ultimately. The next thing is that he married his ex and had a baby before it had even been a year. So that means that almost as soon as they met up again, for the first time in years, when you said, yeah, it's okay, go and meet her, if it's platonic, whatever, they did the deed and then had a baby that year. Like, that again is mental. And then on top of that, all this stuff about her only really wanting to be with him for financial reasons, and the fact that he felt like he had to stay with her sort of for the kid or kids, that sort of proves his original point, which was, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left you for my ex because the grass isn't always greener, and I didn't know what I was losing until it was gone. Like, that doesn't sound like a very fun life now. I mean, his ex / his now wife doesn't want to be with him, and what I assume, well, no, it is his ex because they've been divorced for 6 months. So yeah, even though she's trying to get back with him. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a weird story, and I feel like for Mark, this is what should have happened to him. He should now have a worse life, and he should learn his lesson that you shouldn't forgo what you have for something else that seems maybe better, but you ultimately have no idea what it's going to be like at all. And yeah, it's not been good. 2 kids and a divorce. Well done. For you though, OP, I don't know, I just feel bad. Like, 4 years on, and you're still potentially thinking about taking back a man that like ruined your life and left you at the drop of a hat for his ex-girlfriend. That's tough. That really is. I mean, obviously, the only advice I can possibly give you is do not take him back. Simple as that. Am I the jerk for not staying after our niece got arrested? So, we were all going to be flying back from a family member's wedding. A bunch of us were on the same flight that got cancelled. We were able to get tickets for another flight that had a layover. My sister sneakily got a flight on a direct flight. She basically just left us with her 17-year-old daughter because she said she had to get back home for work. We know she didn't tell us because she knew we would not have agreed. She knows we all think her daughter is a pain in the butt. But anyway, with no other options, we took her with us to the airport, and she was her moody, difficult self the whole time. While we were waiting in the airport during our layover, she got up to supposedly go to the restroom. Well, when she got back, the airport police came up and she got arrested for shoplifting. The police said that since she was 17, she'd be charged as an adult there and transferred to the county jail. They said that she could be out tomorrow, or it could take longer depending on how busy they were. We all had our own places to be and were tired from dealing with travel stuff. Mostly everyone, notably besides me, had younger kids that were also tired and cranky. Nobody wanted to change their flight again and get a hotel for what may be multiple nights so they could stay and wait for her. At this point, to be honest, we were just fed up with her. We talked to the police about it and they said it would be okay if we took our flight. So we relayed the information to my sister over text. She was upset and demanded that someone stay, and we couldn't just abandon her there. By the way, we did check to see, and there were multiple flights my sister could take to get there by tomorrow. She said she couldn't because she had work. We said, so do we. But that was it before we got on our flights. So when we got home, my sister was freaking out because we all left, even though she said she had work. She's now mostly just mad at me for leaving, since I didn't even have kids like the others, and she thinks my work is much more flexible compared to hers, and they would have believed me if I just lied about flight issues or used more days off. Wow, the audacity of your sister to secretly get a separate flight from all of you and then say, you should have stayed with my daughter. What are you doing? You don't even have kids. Your job isn't that important. You've got nowhere to be. Yeah, book another hotel for a couple of days. Stay abroad and just wait to see what happens. I'm too busy at home doing my work to care about my daughter. Suffice to say, you are definitely not the jerk in this situation at all. Now, perhaps it might have been different if your niece was a nicer person in general and this was perhaps out of character for any unknown reason, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems that all your entire family, maybe even your sister as well, are just fed up with her. The real question is, what is your sister mad about? Abandoning her own daughter and you guys not taking more annual leave or time off work because she did that? Or maybe she's so mad because she's raised her so poorly as a teenager that she thinks it's the right thing to do to steal from an airport. Or maybe it's a bit of both. Either way, you are definitely not the jerk. Am I the jerk for ignoring my roommate's food labels when I made and bought the food? I made a big batch of pasta yesterday for dinner. I ate dinner and then went to bed. I left the rest in one large container in the fridge, and I sent a message to my roommate saying if they hadn't eaten dinner, they could have some, because for dinner I made a big batch, but I do need some for my meals tomorrow. When I woke up in the morning, I noticed that he had taken me up on the offer and eaten some, but he had also split the rest into 2 containers and labelled one Harry's lunch. Now, these containers were very small portions, and since I'd made the food for work today, I just recombined them into a big container and left him a message saying that I needed more food to get me through the day, so he would need to sort out his own lunch when he got up. Now, when he woke up, he messaged me saying that he didn't have enough time to prepare food now because he thought I would have been generous and shared. Truthfully, I can't believe this. I already made him dinner, but to me, he's just being ungrateful. I told him that I'm busy and we can discuss this at home. So, am I the jerk for ignoring his label? No, absolutely not. That is seriously audacious. To have your roommate buy the food, cook the food, which is a lovely thing to do, by the way, have some of it, which is absolutely fine, but then want seconds the next day without even asking. That is truly ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. It's such a lovely thing when someone makes you a meal and, you know, they've bought the food and it's just a nice thing, isn't it? My flatmate did it the other day. It was great. He bought all the stuff for fajitas and then made it himself. I helped out a bit, to be fair, and I did pay him back like half the money because I think that's the right thing to do. There were leftovers. Now imagine if I said, or didn't even say, but just took half the leftovers in the fridge and then wrote Jack's lunch on it. That would be insane. I almost want to get my flatmate in here on screen to see what his reaction would be to that. But yeah, all I can say to this is maybe just don't offer Harry food in the future because he clearly doesn't know the limits. And he can't have been that grateful either, to be honest, because he hasn't understood what you've gone through, the money and the time to make this, if he's just going to pot some up for himself the next day. It's sad as well because OP has written it in the comments. Yeah, I just really care about having a good relationship with my roommate, but this shocked me. So they're doing the right thing. They're trying to be a good person. But there's a limit, isn't there, to generosity? Am I the jerk for not playing dumb on a double date? Or this could be interesting. This happened years ago, but I told the story recently and some of my friends acted like I was a jerk. I used to work with this girl, Chelsea, who would tell me that she always thought I would be a good fit for her friend Nicole. Each time she said this, it felt like she had no idea we have had this conversation before, and I was actively getting better at navigating the conversation. For example, I'd gone from, is she cute, to what do we have in common, and she had gone from rolling her eyes to telling me that we're both tall. Chelsea is very attractive, and her friends match, including this stereotypically very attractive tall blonde named Nicole, and I really wanted Chelsea to follow through with setting us up, but she never did while we worked together. Fast forward a few years, and I run into her again. Chelsea is working at this high-end liquor store near my office, and I see her from time to time. She mentions Nicole again, says we'd be a great fit, and this time I really push for the setup. She tells me the same spiel about how Nicole is also tall, we have the same sense of humour, she's a waitress at a nice restaurant nearby, as well as other interests. Chelsea even tells me that she remembers one day I chatted her up about The Walking Dead at work, and after work she was hanging out with Nicole, who basically repeated everything I had said earlier. We exchanged numbers, and later that day she tells me a time and place. The plan is for Chelsea, her fiance, Nicole, and myself. I creep her social medias, and it's pretty obvious who is the wildly out of my league Nicole. The morning of, she tells me we need to postpone. It sucks, but it happens. And we schedule it for the following week. Same place. I come prepared. New haircut, new outfit. I studied the menu, everything I could think of to put my best foot forward. And I'm introduced to a very different Nicole. This Nicole is short, fairly overweight, works at a daycare. I can tell from everyone's reaction that I am visibly disappointed. I decide to go through with the date, but I just keep bringing the conversation back to what I knew about her. Asking questions like, when did you get bored of The Walking Dead? How long have you been a waitress? And, oh, Chelsea mentioned you've been friends since you were kids. Chelsea was trying her best to talk her way around it, but Nicole was visibly upset. The girls went to the bathroom, and the fiance asked me what the frick I was doing. And I told him that Chelsea obviously meant to set me up with someone else. He said she did, but Nicole kept asking to postpone and clearly wasn't interested, so she found someone else more in my league. I gave him a sharp look, and he followed with, okay, she found another Nicole. Okay, very interesting one. I think, to be honest, everyone sort of sucks here, except this new Nicole. Firstly, Chelsea definitely sucks because she has led you on, and it's not nice, is it? Like when you think you're going to meet a certain sort of person, or just in general, when you have expectations and they fall very, very short, and ultimately you have been lied to, OP. I think that's fair to say. So Chelsea shouldn't have done that. She should have been more honest. However, I also think that you were a complete jerk here too. Like when you realized this situation was not the one you expected it to be, you had two choices. Firstly, be super petty about it, like you were, and ultimately hurt Nicole's feelings, this new Nicole, by the way. Or secondly, you could have just gone along with it, had a nice meal, a couple of drinks, met someone new, and just been a nice guy about it overall. You know, just because this person wasn't the person you thought they were going to be, it doesn't mean that you have to just be outright mean when you know that this isn't the same Nicole that you thought it was going to be. That's just you doing that in spite. And I get why you did it, I really do, but really that wasn't the right idea. You should have had a go at Chelsea afterwards when this new Nicole wasn't there. Because ultimately, this new Nicole has just come in, hoping for a really nice date, set up by her friend, and she's just been blindsided by the fact that, really, she was supposed to be somebody else. But how was she to know that? You also weren't very nice by saying this Nicole is short, fairly overweight, etc., works at a daycare. Like, that's just very patronizing and just not nice, arguably mean, to be honest. And also, I've got to say as well that your friend, Chelsea's fiance, was also pretty mean, saying that Chelsea found someone, quote, more in your league. I mean, that is brutal. So yeah, I think everyone sucks here, apart from the new Nicole, who I feel quite bad for, really. Am I the jerk for fixing my daughter's car when her boyfriend said he'd handle it? My daughter, who is 21, and I have always been pretty close. She moved in with her boyfriend a couple of months ago. It was a little tough seeing her move out, but I know she's an adult and building her own life. She drives an old Corolla with a lot of miles on it. A couple of weeks ago, she mentioned the steering wheel had started shaking when she got up to highway speeds, and sometimes the front end would shudder when she braked. She told me her boyfriend said he would take care of it. Another week went by, and it still hadn't been looked at. Last weekend, she came by my place and said it was getting worse and it was starting to make her nervous to drive. Yeah, this isn't safe and this needs to be sorted immediately. So I took it for a quick drive and sure enough, the wheel was shaking pretty good at around 60 miles per hour and it shuddered when I hit the brakes. I pulled the front wheels off in the driveway and it was pretty obvious the front brake rotors were warped and the brake pads were worn unevenly. I ran to the parts store, grabbed new rotors and pads and I swapped them out that afternoon. It took a couple of hours and after that the car drove smoothly again. My daughter was really happy and thanked me a bunch. To me, it wasn't a big deal. I've worked on cars most of my life and she is my kid. A few days later, she and her boyfriend came over for dinner. At one point, he pulled me aside and told me I shouldn't have fixed the car. He said it was his responsibility as her boyfriend to handle that kind of thing, and that by doing it myself, I stepped on his toes. I told him I wasn't trying to prove anything. The car was getting worse, and I just fixed it while she was there. Since then, he's been pretty short with me, and the vibe has been a little weird. My daughter says he feels like I undermined him. From my point of view, she's still my daughter, and if something on her car is unsafe and I can fix it in an afternoon, I'm going to. Okay, I'm getting some serious red flags here concerning your daughter's boyfriend. He is more concerned about how he looks rather than his girlfriend's safety. As I mentioned earlier, this is extremely dangerous. If the wheel is shuddering at 60 miles an hour and the front feels like it's gonna fall off, like, you're gonna have a crash at some point soon unless this is fixed. So yeah, you did, OP, what anyone would do, any parent would do in this situation. Get it sorted as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter if the President of the United States said, don't worry, I'm going to fix it in a couple of days. Now, that's unlikely to happen, but you never know. You did what you had to do, and that was obviously the right thing. He probably just feels bad, the boyfriend that is, because he didn't do it, and now feels guilty that he should have done it. But you weren't undermining him at all. You were making sure your daughter didn't die the next time she went on a motorway. Also, I put myself in this position, and I would feel guilty that I didn't do this first and my daughter's parent had to do it. But then I'd be like, actually, you know what? They did the right thing there. I should have acted quicker, or I would have just been thankful, right? Because you are potentially saving my girlfriend's life, or at the very least putting her in a much safer situation when she drives her car. You wouldn't be like, oh, you've undermined me. I was going to do that. Yeah, but you didn't do it, and she would have kept driving that car in the meantime, putting her life in danger. Obviously, OP is not the jerk here, but OP's daughter's boyfriend definitely is. And now for our final Am I the Jerk post of this episode. Am I the jerk for losing my cool and yelling at my influencer, in irony quotes, sister-in-law over her constant filming and lack of respect for my daughter's boundaries? I have a 13-year-old daughter. My sister-in-law has two boys, 8 and 11, who are deep into the Canadian hockey, baseball, travel tournament lifestyle. She is a stay-at-home mum and went down the Insta/TikTok family lifestyle influencer rabbit hole. Over the last year, she's leaned hard into the hockey mum thing by posting hotel reviews, game pics, and travel tips. She wants to turn her page into a full family brand. There are a lot of irony quotes going on here, by the way. When her boys were younger, she used to say she wished she had a daughter to do girly things with. I included her in a few things with my daughter Sarah, like picking out her first communion dress. Back then, she was sweet, supportive, and genuinely the cool aunt. Lately, every family thing has become content. She films everything, stages candid moments, narrates like she's vlogging. At Christmas, she tried to dictate the whole day. Gifts, crafts, movies all became scripted. The older cousins hid in the basement to escape being filmed. Sarah later told me she hated being recorded and didn't want to be on my sister-in-law's pages. Apparently, my sister-in-law kept pestering her to braid hair, decorate cookies, etc. for content. Sarah didn't know how to shut it down, so she made herself as un-influencer friendly as possible, with eye rolls, nose picking, etc. Kind of ironic because I would much rather watch someone do that, just not want to be in any content at all. That would amuse me than someone that was like super into it. That would just be really funny to watch. Last weekend, we went out for my mum's 70th. My sister-in-law immediately started filming again, making the whole dinner awkward, until her partner, my brother, snapped at her to stop. During dinner, Sarah mentioned she was going dress shopping for her grade 8 grad. My sister-in-law lit up and started pushing to come so she could expand her brand into full family content. I ignored her to discuss after dinner and in private, but she kept pushing. In the parking lot, she asked again for the time and place. I snapped. I told her my daughter is not her prop, not her girl substitute, and she does not have permission to film or post her. She got defensive and said I was stifling her creativity and that she needs my daughter because she doesn't have one. I told her off, loudly and colourfully. Sarah heard, but with two parents who work in construction, she's heard worse. Later, my sister-in-law started a group chat saying I was rude, mean, and that I embarrassed her, and that everyone posts everything these days. She demanded an apology. I refused and reiterated our boundaries. My siblings backed me up and said they also don't want their kids in her content. My sister-in-law hasn't responded since. I know I raised my voice, but she's ignored every boundary. My priority was protecting Sarah's boundaries. Unequivocally, I know I'm not the jerk for that, and I will never apologize. However, my sister-in-law just didn't get it. So, am I the jerk for yelling at my sister-in-law in the manner I did? Also, any pics I have in my history of Sarah are posted with her permission. Goodness me, this is like my worst nightmare ever. You guys know, I mean, obviously, I'm a content creator, right? I make videos and podcasts and put them on the internet. That's sort of my thing. And I also take quite a lot of videos and pictures of my friends because I just like doing it and I think it's fun. Always with their consent, and it's just nice to sort of make memories. I'm that way inclined, if that makes sense. You know, I like getting my phone out at certain times and taking videos of people, or, you know, taking photos to remember moments. That's sort of just what I like doing. And I've got like a really nice catalog on my phone of different events and, you know, people's birthdays, stuff like that. You know, a lot of people don't really take photos that often. I do. I just like taking videos and photos. I think it's fun and it's always good to reminisce. However, this is a different level. And also, I'm not using that stuff, by the way, for my own content. Hardly ever. Just like private stuff. This is a different level. Not only is your sister-in-law OP just using people without their permission in her content, but Sarah's a child. Like, there are laws about this. You can't do this sort of stuff. I don't like family channels on the whole anyway. I think in part they can be quite, I don't want to say predatory, but, you know, is it the best thing to have a child from the day they're born be on camera, grow up on camera? I just don't think that's the safest thing. That, I suppose, is a different matter. This is just very simple. You've asked your sister-in-law to not do this anymore and they keep doing it. Obviously, you're not the jerk here at all, and your sister-in-law 100% is. This is crazy. Now, someone has a very interesting suggestion in the comments here, saying you should buy your daughter a couple of custom t-shirts and hoodies that say, "I do not consent to being filmed." And on the line below, have it reversed, so even if the image is mirrored, it's readable. Wow. That's a great idea. It's a little bit over the top, but it's a good idea. Maybe we've got to that extent now, where a couple of messages, some firm words, shouting isn't going to do it. You're going to have to go the extra mile. And your daughter picking her nose in the videos might not be enough. Am I the jerk for asking my neighbor to wait for her laundry at her house? Yesterday, after I picked my son up from school, my neighbor flagged me down in the driveway to ask me if she could use my laundry machine because hers was broken. I said sure, because she's my neighbor. While she was in her house gathering her laundry, I made grilled cheeses for myself and my son. When she came over, I showed her where the machine was. After loading the machine, she came into the kitchen. My neighbor asked if she could have a grilled cheese. Now, I might just be a D, but I thought that was a ridiculous thing to ask. I told her I only made 2. She asked why I did that since I knew she was coming over, because she was coming over for laundry, not grilled cheese. My son offered her half of his. I always put an egg in my grilled cheese sandwiches. She bit into it and was grossed out by the egg, which she should have seen before she bit into it. She then asked me where my trash can was. My son said, "Don't waste food," so she just handed the sandwich back to him. I told him to switch halves with me and then bin the sandwich half when he wasn't looking. She asked to use my bathroom, which I of course agreed to. She came back to the kitchen after and asked if I had any refreshments. I said no, and I suggested that she just wait for her clothes to finish at home. She asked if I was trying to get rid of her. I said we needed to get started on homework. She said she didn't mind. I said we needed to keep distraction to a minimum. Then she said, "Well, I know when I'm not wanted," and left. When she came back to switch her clothes to the dryer, she was very irritated. I apologized for hurting her feelings. She said it didn't matter, but she sounded angry. Then she left. I feel bad, but I also feel annoyed because who acts like that? So to answer the question, OP, obviously, no, you're not the jerk here at all. And a quick reminder that this is the first of 5 posts all about this crazy neighbor. So that is just a sign of things to come, guys. Trust me. But what is she doing? It's like the definition of entitlement. You get something given to you generously. because it is a nice thing to do, offer your washing machine to a neighbor. I think most of us would do it, but you know, it still requires some sacrifice and you need to be a generous person to do that. And then you just take that for granted and go the extra step and then just start to take the absolute mick, eating their food, getting their drinks, whatever, just completely disregarding their generosity. It's a bit of a joke, to be honest. It's also funny that she said, well, I know when I'm not wanted, and left, but actually it took her so long to realize she wasn't wanted. Anyway, the good news is there is actually an update on that post on its own. It's a tiny update, OP says, but an update nonetheless. Just check, this was posted 2 days after the original. I have a tiny update about my weird neighbor with the broken washing machine. She came back. I know 90% of you said to never let her back in the house, so you're probably going to judge me heavily. In my defense, I was a little flustered by the whole thing. She waved me down again when we were walking up to the house. She said to wait because she had something for me. I waited because, I guess because I'm stupid, I figured she'd just knock on the door anyway if I didn't. She came back with a pie that she said was thanks for using my washing machine. I said thank you, and she didn't have to. She said, let's go inside and try a piece. I said it was almost my son's nap time. She said, well, great, we can eat pie while he naps. The exact thing you want to hear. A lot of you said she might have been interested in me, and that was still in my head. So I said, yeah, and you should invite your husband over too. I was expecting that to deter her, but nope. She got very excited. She said, that's a great idea. Here, you take the pie in and I'll go and get him. So at that point, I'm internally thinking, what the F? My son and I went inside. I started cutting pieces of pie because at this point I felt like a victim of fate. I will say, even if it's not exactly what you're trying to do, but if you do say to this woman, okay, that sounds like a great idea, go and get your husband, you can't be too mad when she then does do that. That's all I will say, even though I know what you were trying to do. She came over with her husband. I have never seen a man that looked as exasperated and embarrassed as this guy. We ate pie, and the whole time she asked me weird questions while her husband looked annoyed. Every once in a while, I would say something, and she would give her husband a look. He kept pretending not to see the looks. After we finished the pie, she asked if I had coffee. Her husband said, honey, he wants to put his son down for a nap. Let's go home. She said, oh, he doesn't mind. Her husband said, no, he minds, while he took her elbow and started leading her out the door. She kept insisting that I didn't until they were outside. I gotta say, I think I'm in love with this guy. As weird and annoying as the whole thing was, I feel a lot better about my neighbor now. Some of the comments had some pretty crazy speculation that made me a little nervous. Now that I've met her husband, I'm pretty sure she's just bored, which is fine. It's annoying, but not creepy. So to all the people who were worried she was trying to seduce me or spy on me or steal from me, don't worry. Based on her husband's reactions, she's just like this. Which then makes me question why he is with her at all, but I suppose overall it's a good thing. The one thing I would say on this is that it sounds like you've potentially made a buddy, because he seems like a good guy. I know his wife's like awful, but he seems like he's alright. So what you need to do now is invite him round or do something with him and not involve his wife at all. I'm not sure that'd be possible, but it's worth trying. He seems like a good lad. Okay, so now we are jumping over to r/entitled people. My neighbor found my ex-wife on Facebook and messaged her. I mean, you thought the first couple of posts or the first sort of incident was slightly strange. This is so weird. I have a weird neighbor with boundary issues. She invited herself into my house twice, and after that, I tried to be more assertive in telling her she can't come over. I thought I was doing well, but I'd only seen a small slice of what she was capable of. My ex-wife called me an hour ago to rip me a new exit orifice. My neighbor found her on Facebook and messaged her to ask if she was my ex-wife. She said she was. My neighbor asked her if she knew where I was currently living. She said she did. My neighbor then asked her why our son didn't live with her, his mother. My ex blocked her and then called me to yell at me. I'm furious. I want to yell at my neighbor, but I don't want to be stupid. I apologized to my ex-wife, but she is still so annoyed. How can anyone be so entitled as to think they have the right to interfere in a complete stranger's life like this? She's just my neighbor. We aren't even friends. This is beyond the pale. Now, I know in the previous post, OP said that, okay, This woman is annoying, but she's not creepy or weird or anything, just probably bored. I'd say this is creepy and weird. And yes, she definitely is bored, and she's clearly like a busybody who wants to get involved in everyone's lives because they're bored within their own life, or they're lacking fulfillment or purpose or whatever. But I don't really care about the reason. This is just so strange. Like, what are you trying to achieve by doing this? I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of revenge because she wasn't happy with you from the previous incident or whatever, but it's actually insane. Like, why is she getting involved? What is she doing? Now, good news, we have an update on this one. Just for reference as well, the original post about the stalking the ex-wife or finding out who the ex-wife is came on the February 19th of 2026, and then just a day later, February the 20th, we got this update. I talked to her husband, and he said he would talk to her. I don't doubt that he did, but whatever he said didn't get through. My son and I were eating breakfast when I heard a knock on the door. I thought there was absolutely no way it could be her, but it was. I looked through the peephole and she was standing there with a baking tray. I just went back into the kitchen. I ignored her. My son wanted to know why I wasn't answering the door, and I said, sometimes we're already doing something important, and so don't have time for other people if it isn't an emergency. I said breakfast with him was important, and it wasn't an emergency, so I wasn't going to answer. She kept knocking for what felt like an age. Her husband must have come out at one point because I heard him calling her name. She said, I know he's in there. His car is here. Just incorrigible, this woman. I ignored her. I think her husband actually came and pulled her off the porch. That's what it sounded like to me. But I didn't look. Bugs Bunny is less Looney Tunes than she is. Yeah, I mean, she's gone completely off the rails. Again, I go back to what you said in the intro, or like the first couple of posts, that she's weird, but not creepy or whatever, or she's bored, but not creepy. This is creepy. Like, this is harassment at this point. She's on your property, and she's like not going to leave unless she's pulled away by her husband. That's so weird. I think you definitely did the right thing here, though, like not taking the whatever it was on the baking tray, whatever food that was, in, because she's already done very, very strange things before. Who knows? She could easily have like spiked that food with something very dangerous. I mean, we don't know what this woman is capable of. She's already shown she has no real filter for anything in life. I would go as far to say that. Like, what is she doing contacting your ex-wife? And now what is she doing not leaving your property? I know it might seem a little bit crazy to say that. It's just this like random, I think probably elderly woman, neighbor, who's just a bit doolally. But in reality, I would be like very scared of this woman and what she could potentially do. Right, now a couple of days later, we got this next update titled Update 2, Laundry, Facebook, and Terrible Baking. Wait, no, sorry, don't tell me that you've actually eaten some more of her food or any of her food. That is not good. I don't actually know if all of her baked offerings are terrible because I only tried the first one, but I'm just going to assume. My crazy neighbor is obsessed with me and my kid. She pretended her washing machine was broken so she could come over and snoop. Wow, that's a revelation. Unbelievable. I want to know how OP found that out, but still, we've not been told that so far unless I've missed something. Then she wormed her way in a second time with a terrible pie. I did my best to avoid her after that, so she found my ex-wife on Facebook and confronted her there. Ugh, disgusting. Okay, so OP didn't say that the pie was terrible before, but clearly it was. I did my best to avoid her after that, so she found my ex-wife on Facebook and confronted her there. Wow. I want to be clear that I've never been friends with this woman. We are only neighbors. Her behavior is beyond strange and unsettling. She tried to come over again with a tray of something she baked, and I ignored her. Last night, I'm pretty sure she knocked on my door. I didn't check to make sure it was her, but I'm fairly sure. She had me so paranoid that every time I heard a rustling sound outside in the back of my mind, I wondered if it was her. That is just horrible. Like, not feeling safe within your own home is one of the worst possible things I can possibly think of. I mean, to be fair, it's only happened to me pretty much one night in my entire life, which I know I'm very privileged to be able to say that. But if you've been around on the channel for a long time, you'll know about the story where these random like guys or whatever try to like break into our house while we were all in there, like me and my mate's flat while we were all in there. And that night I was like pretty terrified in bed thinking, are they going to come back or whatever, even though the police came, etc. Thankfully nothing else happened apart from that, but like that feeling of being paranoid in the middle of the night, listening out for stuff, you know, your mind's going crazy, obviously you can't sleep, it's horrible. So yeah, if any of you have ever suffered with something like that, maybe it's happening in your life now, or, you know, this guy here, like, it's just a terrible thing. And yeah, not much worse. I installed the doorbell camera this morning before I took my son to daycare and went to work. That's a very good idea. It went off while I was tidying up at work and getting ready to leave. I saw her standing there with another baking tray. I told her through the app that I was at work. She said she wanted to talk to me, and I said I'm at work and I don't want to talk to her. She asked if we could talk when I get back from work. I said no. She said she wanted to clear the air. I said that wasn't necessary. I said I'm not upset, a lie, but that I don't want to talk to her or be around her. She said she was worried about me. She said my son and I got home late last night. It wasn't that late, it was around 8, and that my son looked unwell when we arrived. He was sleeping. She said it didn't make sense that I was at work because it's Sunday. Yeah, I work on Sundays, and that if something is going on, she can help me. Her tone and verbiage was so condescending. This is like, I'm like getting sort of like almost goosebumps, but like horrible shivers. Like, it's like when someone, the fact that she's like monitoring when you're getting back to your house, and, you know, she's like looking at your son, and like, you know, like just really like insisting on being involved in your lives and like saying these horrible things to you. Like, I know I saw exactly when you came home. It's too late. Your son looked unwell. Like, it's just, that is so creepy. Like, again, this woman is getting weirder and weirder. It's making me think of what was that show on Netflix? I've forgotten the name of it. I remember it in 3, 2, 1. I haven't remembered it. Baby Reindeer, of course, is what it's called. But if you've seen that, it's like that. It's like this. In a way, like we're getting to that level. A woman that feels normal, potentially quite friendly at first. You're like, yeah, use my washing machine. Now she's being creepy and like stalkerish. Anyway, OP continues. I stopped being nice. I told her to please get off my property. I said I do not want her around me or my son. I said she was making me uncomfortable. She tried to argue with me, but I stopped responding while continuing to watch her on the app. She kept saying she just wanted to help. She even knocked on the door at one point. She left with her baking tray. I'm stressed out. Part of me doesn't even want to go home. She thinks she has the right to claim my space and my time. She treats my porch like public property and me like I owe her an explanation for anything in my life. It's infuriating. I might be making a mountain out of a molehill. I know she's just a bored busybody, but she needs to find someone else to take an interest in. I think the SPCA accepts volunteers. Oh wow, this is actually interesting. I think the SPCA is a Scottish animal welfare charity. Is there a chance this woman is actually the same woman from Baby Reindeer? I mean, what's going on here? Oh, maybe it's just a common name for non-profit animal welfare organisations around the world. Anyway, if this is taking place in Scotland, it'd be more funny. OP's neighbour, we can see now, before we go into the final post of this episode, is just ridiculous. Absolutely mental. Not normal. Okay, so here we go. This is the final post so far. This was posted 13 days ago at the time of recording, Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2026. We've not received anything else since that moment. Now, obviously, I will look out for stuff in the future after this, but this is what we have so far. The last thing, entitled neighbor threatened me with police. My entitled neighbor that you can read about in my post history is obsessed with me. It seemed like things were calming down. I have a doorbell camera, and she wasn't knocking on my door as much. She seemed to be running out of steam. Last night, my son and I went to a party at a friend's house. Several children were there, and the host offered a sleepover for any kid who wanted to spend the night. Oh my goodness. I probably already know where this is going. Where's your son? He didn't come back with you. Once all the kids were asleep, us adults enjoyed the adult beverages. I left my son and my car at my friend's house to pick up in the morning, which I did. Then I walked home. After I got home, I went straight to bed. I was woken up by the doorbell camera. This is like making my skin crawl. It's like, this is so disgusting. My neighbor was there. I ignored her, but I watched her on the camera. She said she knew I was home and that if I didn't answer, she would call a wellness check for me because I came home without my son. It's just so obvious. What a weird woman. I told her through the camera that he was at a slumber party and I wanted her off my porch. She asked why he was at a slumber party on a Monday night. I said it was none of her business and to get off my porch. She said she was going to call for the wellness check unless I showed her proof that he was okay. I walked out the back door and towards her house. She saw me when I was almost there and came running after me. I knocked on her door. She reached her front door right before her husband opened the door and demanded I leave. The irony. Her husband answered the door and asked what was going on. I told him what his wife did and threatened to do. He yelled and cursed at her, asking her what was wrong with her and telling her to get in the house. She told him to lower his voice, saying the neighbors would hear. He said the neighbors already think she's a word I'm not going to repeat because they see her knocking on my door all the time. She told him to stop and he told her to get in the house. She went inside. He apologized to me and said she isn't going to knock on my door again. I felt uncomfortable because of the yelling and cursing and I was also still tipsy. So I said, okay, and I went home. So far, no knocks. We'll see what happens. And there we go. That is all we have for now. The thing that I find horrific about this is, first of all, it is obviously just generally horrific. Secondly, this is happening live. This was 2 weeks ago at the time of recording and all these posts are within a month of each other. Thirdly, this must be happening loads in the world. There aren't that many people that are posting these sort of events happening to them on Reddit. And fourthly, if this woman's husband didn't exist, say she was just living alone, there'd be no one to stop her from doing this apart from the police. And I've seen in situations like this before where you have a stalker or there is someone that is a stalker. It's very hard to actually get the police to do anything concrete. It requires continuous illegal stuff from the person, from this woman in this story, for the police to actually properly get involved and issue a restraining order or something like that. It's just horrible for the victims of this. Absolutely disgusting. But I don't know. I think you should probably start that procedure anyway, because the earlier you do this, say it is to carry on, then at least the police know that you've asked for this now and it doesn't all come at once, or they don't think, oh, okay, this is a new thing, even if it has been going on for ages. Just start that process, get a lawyer, whatever. But even so, that's a horrible thing to have to do. You don't want to have to do that in your life, do you? You want to just live a normal life, not have to get the police involved, lawyers involved, whatever. But I think it's necessary. What would you guys suggest? Let me know in the comments down below. Oh, just a horrible, horrible situation. And as I said, I'm going to keep on top of this one as it's very in the moment, very present day. But yeah, all I can say is a final message to OP. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I hope you get the support you need and the people on side that you need for this to stop forever. The good news is, I suppose it's been a couple of weeks and we haven't had an update. And then OP said they'd had no knocks. So maybe it's been solved. I kind of doubt it. Let's see what happens though. How can I find out who is leaving creepy/threatening notes at my child's grave? Okay, so this was originally posted back in July 2016. I'm writing this post both to vent, but also to see if anyone's got advice on how to handle this situation. I'm located in Scandinavia with rather strict laws concerning surveillance cameras. Otherwise, I would have gone down that path long ago. So the situation. My wife and I lost our child to cancer 1.5 years ago. Our child was then a toddler. This, of course, left us devastated, and our way back from the darkness wasn't easy. But we gave our daughter a very beautiful grave, and visiting it daily helped us through the grief. But then we started getting notes, written on computer, not handwritten. Nasty notes about us, mainly me though. Sometimes threats, and also expressing hopes that the child my wife is now expecting also dies. Someone broke the wings of the angel on the gravestone, destroyed the flowers, etc. I have no idea who this is. I have, to my knowledge, no enemies, and neither does my wife. How can I find out who it is without breaking the law, setting up a camera? I've got to say, I think sometimes in life, it's worth breaking the law for moments like this. And if the police have got anything about them, any common sense, they'd understand why you're doing this. And also, I would take being arrested to know who is doing this to my child's grave. I sometimes get a feeling that perhaps it is someone closer to me than I realize. The reason is that when this first started, the notes always appeared in connection to us, letting people know that we'd been visiting the grave. If I went there on Monday and, for example, said on Facebook that I'd visited the grave and planted some beautiful flowers, then a note would be there the following day. It felt like a pattern, but it could have been coincidental. This is driving us insane. My wife, pregnant and sensitive as she is, can't visit the final resting place of our first child without fear and anger. I too get very upset, of course, but I'm more infuriated. I want to know who is doing this. All advice is very much appreciated. Maybe one of you can think of something we've missed. Oh, wow. How do I even begin to give any advice? I can't even think of anything. What would you do in this situation? Wow. Again, like all I can really think of is just putting a camera there and saying, yeah, I'm going to break the law, but I need to know who this person is, because what they're doing is one of the most hideous things I've ever heard of in my life. If you have any suggestions at this early stage, get in the comments down below, guys. Don't cheat as well. Don't see what happens later, because as I said, we are going to get a conclusion to this story. But yeah, what would you do right now? The only thing I can think of is breaking the law and setting up a camera, or just staking out your child's grave, which is just not something you want to do. Okay, so let's get into the update. Some people asked us to do a list of suspects. We tried really hard to think of anyone that could be an issue, and this is what we came up with. So we'll start with L. In my previous workplace, L was a co-worker who claimed that I got promoted because I had a kid on the way and was annoyed about that. But that was years ago. Second, there's B. Before I met my wife, I dated B, and we had a good relationship. I saw no crazy in her, but she wanted a child-free life, and I love children, so we parted, and it was a mutual decision. She also moved to another town. But since you guys asked me to list exes, I'll do that. Then we have E, my wife's ex. She dumped him for me, but he's now married, so he should have gotten over that. Then there's V. When we installed our new kitchen, we hired a Polish guy to do some of the work. Sadly, language barriers made it hard, and we ended up having lots of problems. In the end, I had to let him go and find someone else to do the job. He was angry, but surely that's not a reason to stalk us now. Then we have C. C is not on my Facebook actually, but I'll list her anyway because she's a weirdo. She lived next door to us before we moved, and she had this very, very sick dog. So sick that it cried when it tried to walk. It was skin and bones and misery on 4 legs. Sometimes it fell down and couldn't get back up. My wife reported that, and we never saw the dog again. C was a strange person, not mean or nasty to people, but odd. And then finally we have Nurse A. A nurse at the hospital that treated our daughter, also not on Facebook. We made a complaint about her after finding out that she didn't give our child the pain meds at the right time, but waited too long to administer them. We weren't rude, we didn't shout or anything, we just wanted the best care for our kid. Also, when our child wished to go to a kennel and play with puppies, we did that, but Nurse A said we shouldn't because of our child's state. We went anyway, and she was annoyed for the rest of the weekend. That is all we can think of. Okay, right now, I want you to get in the comments. Do you think that any of these potential suspects is the person that has done this, or not? Do you think it's someone entirely different? If I was to guess right now, and by the way, I never read ahead in these stories ever because I want to read it as if it was live, like you guys are listening to it right now, I would have to say maybe it's an ex. That's the only thing that is sort of jumping out at me, and I would probably go for B, OP's ex, just because she wanted a child-free life, OP didn't, and that's the reason they broke up. I think that is the only possible link that makes any sort of sense, but then again, this is such a senseless and hideous thing that it doesn't need to make sense. Okay, now let's get into the second update. This is a translation of the latest letter, the 12th of July. I've translated it with grammar, spelling mistakes, sentence structure, and all. You should be glad that A, insert our child name, died, so she won't grow up with you both and live with you. It's better. And I wish the new baby doesn't live too. I hope, insert my wife's name, falls on the stairs and the ugly baby dies, and it would be better. Company for little, insert lost daughter's name. Maybe she eats something with razor blades and cuts her belly open? Oh, what on earth? I don't think that the child under the dirt here was a good person either. I think it was a bad person, and she died because it was good that she died. I applauded it when the people that are bad die. And I have advice. 9mm and your pain stops. Easy, easy. I'm not evil, I'm normal, and I do this because I like it, and I don't like you, and I smile when I think that you are hating this. How do you like my arrangements on the grave, in caps? I like it much better this way. Don't be so negative. Oh my word. That is insane. I don't think I've ever read a story that's like in this sort of ballpark, by the way, like ever. And again, I've been doing this for like over 7 years. I know I say that a lot, but this is such a rare post. Like, obviously, this sort of thing does not happen much at all. Does it ever happen? Clearly. Wow. Again, I'm none the wiser as to who this could be after this. I don't want to say this is sort of like a murder mystery as we go, because that's probably sounds horrible, but in a way it sort of is. Although this is someone's real life and it's just disgusting. So maybe forget I said that. Right, let's get into the third update. I haven't had much free time today. Chaos at work. But I translated one of the letters previously found at the grave on the 5th of May. I translated this one because it was one of the worst. Are you telling me that the previous one was not one of the worst? Okay, let's go. Do you think little insert daughter's name is done and all rotten now? Does the naked bones shine pale in the dark? I think about it sometimes. I hope you think sometimes about it. At least you won't be grown up and like you both in the future. There is no future, only the end, and that is better. New baby will also be sick and die and rot next to its skeleton sister, and they'll be dead together, and I will wait for it. It sings inside my soul when bad are suffering, and I feel triumph and happiness when it happens, and it's the best way. Wishing the worst for both of you. Soon it is coming. Do you guys think this is a male or a female writer? How can one tell? I have no idea. No idea. Like, I have no clue. Genuinely no clue. If this happened to me, right, would you have an inclination as to who it might be? I mean, clearly OP has no idea. I just don't know. Is it a male or a female writer? I would lean slightly towards female, just naturally. But it might not be. I mean, I have no clue. A natural feeling is that this is a woman. But I couldn't say that with any sort of, security. Just insane. All right, we're going to have a little pause here and jump into some comments after that update, because OP replied and there was some good information there and advice. Somebody said, have you contacted the authorities? What have they said about it? That is sort of what I was originally going to say, but what could they do about it, really? I actually don't know, other than say, okay, we'll monitor. They're not just going to stake out a grave. This is not going to happen. Maybe they could look for CCTV. That's something they could do. Is there much CCTV around a graveyard? Maybe, maybe not. But apart from that, I don't know what they're really going to do about it. The comment continues. Also, you could post that you went on Facebook and visit the next couple of days to see if someone shows up. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, do that. Post that you went, and then maybe just go in the middle of the night. Just maybe, I don't know, one night? No, it's just too horrible. I don't know. This person seems unstable, so be careful. That I completely agree with. OP replied, yes, my wife arrived at the police station with a beheaded teddy bear that had been found on the grave, crying. And police informed her that, quote, we have real crime to handle. I didn't think they'd be as bad as this. I thought they'd be unhelpful though, to be honest. Right, someone else said, are there any detectable patterns, like a day of the week that it happens, or a certain amount of days after you post on Facebook? This might help narrow down the stakeout option. Do you think it was at night, or is there no way to tell? Yeah, so other people are suggesting stakeouts, I presume. Are your posts private on Facebook, or can anyone see them? Check your privacy settings to see if maybe people who aren't your friends can see them. I can't remember how that works though. Are there any people working nearby that could help you and alert you to anything unusual? Caretakers at the cemetery or nearby businesses that have night shifts? Good shout. Could you ask to have the plot moved to a more secure or remote area? It might give you some peace. Or you don't want to have to do that though, let's be honest. And then finally, can you look at the Facebook history of the suspects and see if there are any recognizable speech patterns or phrases? That's a good shout. It's not definitive, but it might help you narrow your focus. Sometimes people are active in Facebook groups. Local ones are popular and you will see them as a member. Their comments won't show up in their feed, but you can see what they talk about from browsing the group. I hadn't thought about that. Checking all these suspects, other messages, maybe texts, yeah, anything online. Seeing if the grammar, the sort of verbiage is similar to what's been left on your child's grave. I'd imagine it probably isn't. You know, the fact that they're not doing this with handwriting means they're probably, well, like they know what they're doing, don't they? Really, like they know that they're not going to get caught, or at least they're aware, obviously, of what they're doing and how it could be traceable back to them, and they are putting a lot of stuff in place to ensure that isn't the case. Okay, OP replied saying, no absolute pattern, but I find that the letters are often there 1 to 2 days after we've done something nice, planting flowers, etc. But that's not the only time it happens. My Facebook is set on friends only. There are mostly villas and a bakery close to the cemetery, but the cemetery's got a brick wall around it, can't see above it from a car, but an adult can climb over it. I plan to go through the suspect's posts on Facebook and look for the same choice of words and spelling mistakes. That might actually be an effective way to narrow it down. Thank you for your input. Okay, now we jump 2 months into the future to September the 3rd, 2016 with a solid update here. Hi all, it's been a while since I updated and that's because not much has happened. Anyway, it's time for an update since many of you have asked and I finally have something to report. On the 27th of August, we decided to visit the grave together. My wife rarely goes there in fear of what she might find. And as we are on our way to the place where you can borrow a vase for the flowers and fill in water and such, I spot a familiar face. It was C, our ex-neighbour with the suffering dog. Of course, she might have a grave there to visit too, even if she doesn't live in the same town as us anymore. She must have arrived shortly after us and came walking in our direction, but slightly from the side. She was very suntanned, as if she'd just returned from a vacation, and the moment she caught me looking at her, she turned around and walked out. I followed her, intending to talk to her, to see if she seemed rational or if she showed any sign of guilt, but she was gone when I reached the parking lot. This is no proof, I'm aware. I scanned the entire graveyard for a stone with her family name on it, and I found nothing. Our child's grave was not touched this time. This week, I've been in contact with the office that can forbid people to keep pets if they have shown cruelty to animals in the past. It turns out that she had one of those issued to her, dated shortly after my wife reported the state of her dog, and it was put down. She had been warned before, but it was the dog thing that closed the deal as I understand it. Motive enough? Or am I being paranoid here? It's tricky. She could have a valid reason to be there and walk out when she saw us because she dislikes us, but it could also be more sinister. Okay, so this is the first suspect where there's any sort of tangible link to the cemetery. So that has to count for something. It's hard to know, like, where is this cemetery? What exactly is everyone doing with their lives now? Is it even logistically possible for them to come back relatively often to do this sort of stuff, etc., etc.? I know we have some information, but we don't have everything. Like, that's a bit of a coincidence, isn't it? That she's there. I agree with OP. It makes sense that she would go off and not want to speak to you because of what's happened in the past. The question is what's happened to her enough of a motive for her to be doing this? And I think the answer is yes. Because if you are a bit of a, crazy woman anyway, and someone takes your pet away from you, I mean, rightfully so, right? Then you could definitely be like, well, they killed my baby. I want to see the death of their future baby, and I'm glad that their previous baby died. Like, I'm not saying that is logical, by the way, but I'm trying to find some sort of motive for this woman who clearly is just, mentally destroyed. Again, like, it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? But compared to everyone else, where we have nothing to go on, it makes sense that maybe it is her. One thing though is, like, why would she go to the graveyard, to the grave, and then have not done something? Does that mean she, like, regularly goes and doesn't do anything to it? Or does she only change it or like ruin it again after you guys have made it fresh and nice? And I wonder, had you done that already? I mean, you probably had. Or she saw you and then didn't do what she was going to do. Perhaps that's the most likely thing. But anyway, let's get into some comments and then we will have the final post from OP. So somebody said this: I have read your post. My condolences to your family. This person is obviously very sick. When I read that letter, my blood caught on fire. I want to do anything to help you. You have to gather evidence on this person. My biggest fear for you is not finding who this person is, but once they're found out, they will not stop, and there's nothing your police can do to stop it because of the lack of evidence. Please take detailed notes on what has been happening the day you find the grave vandalized. Take photos of the damage. Also, figuring out when this vandal attacks could lead you closer to the suspect. Is this at night? What about the day? Has the Facebook idea you originally suspected been proven wrong? Are you absolutely sure your Facebook is private to everyone? Do you know everyone personally on your Facebook, or could they be under a false account? What about holidays? Someone who vandals on a holiday likely doesn't have children. Someone who attacks in the middle of the week likely doesn't have a job that is all day long. Obviously, the neighbor has the most personal motive. The person who does these things likely has more time than the average person. They either don't have children or they don't have a good relationship with their family. Since a surveillance camera is out of the question, I would put a tape recorder in the ground and check daily. Even if you can't see the person, you can hear them. This will likely help you figure out if this person is working alone, or at least what time they visit, to better catch them or collect better evidence. Also, you can make your own trip alarm system. Here's how you make it with a hyperlink. These directions give you a way to actually have the system call a phone once the alarm is activated. If you're not that technical, maybe a friend could help you, or this kind of system could maybe be bought. I couldn't find any though. You could possibly have it hidden between flowers or decorations too beautiful for the vandal not to destroy. Good shout, by the way, I hadn't even thought of that. I would indeed get in touch with the people who are in charge of the graveyard as well. Document all of these requests and attempts as they can prove that you have taken action in the past. Okay, and then 11 days later, we got this from OP in response to that comment saying, thank you, very helpful with the trip alarm system. Since we spotted C while visiting the grave, nothing new has happened, but we still think about it all the time. It's always on our minds. Who is doing this, and is it really over? We also worry if the arrival of our new baby might trigger a new response. We make no baby posts on Facebook or other social media, and we notice who we start to think twice about before telling people any information. And my wife refuses to visit the grave on her own. It's a really upsetting situation, but we're grateful for the support. Okay, and that is actually all we have. To be honest, I didn't fully read through this story because I don't like doing that. I presume that there might be, we might find an answer, and I think in a way we have had an answer, to be honest with you, but nothing concrete from OP. So I sort of apologize that there is no like, it was C, or we found someone doing this and therefore it's her and they've been arrested or whatever. But you got to remember, this is actually like a real post. This isn't like a TV show. This stuff actually happened. So yeah, no like concrete conclusion, but I would be very confident that it was C. Now, the good news is that this was posted 10 years ago, right, on Reddit. And since then, there's been nothing from this user. They said they had been left alone for a while, or at least the grave had been left alone for a while. So I'd like to think that because there have been no more posts, this has stopped happening. And, you know, they've had their new child and everything's okay. Now, obviously, that might not be the case. They might just not use Reddit anymore. But I feel like we would have heard more if things kept going or if things were worse. And OP has said in a couple of other comments, not had anything in a while, seems to have calmed down, etc. But again, this is now almost, 10 years ago. So who knows for sure. What I will do is give my final thoughts as to why I think it must be C. First of all, she was actually there at the site, right? She's the only person you've ever seen there. Why is she there in the first place? Like, there's no reason for her to be there. Maybe she's got some sort of person that she knows who is buried there, but if you've done like due diligence and you've checked and there's seemingly no relation, then I mean, why is she there? Secondly, I don't think that the Facebook thing is that important, actually, because I know you said early on that she is not your friend on Facebook, but I don't think, just from reading it, it doesn't seem to me that you make a post on Facebook and then every single time, 1 day later or 2 days later, the grave is destroyed. I don't think it's as clear as that, even though it may seem like that. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It might just be a coincidence, or it might just be the case that that doesn't happen every single time. Like, it's just, yeah, maybe sometimes it's a few days later, sometimes it's a week later, sometimes it happens to be the next day, but it's not because the person doing this is seeing your Facebook post. So I would discount the Facebook a little bit. And then I do think, like, the more I think about it, yeah, you could be a mentally ill person and just have so much hatred inside of you for what these people did. And I'm doing, like, you know, inverted commas here, to your dog, even though you were horribly mistreating it and you have done with other pets in the past, that you could do this. And I'm trying to think now of the other suspects. Let's just go through them quickly. L, workplace co-worker, claimed that I got promoted because I had a kid on the way. No, I don't think so. B, who I originally suspected, moved to another town. Like, you're not going to come in and out of town. I just don't think you're going to come in and out of town. It's just not going to happen. Also, you had a good relationship. There was no crazy in her, that is what you said. E, your wife's ex dumped for you, but he's married. He's not going to be doing that when he's married. There's no way. A builder, I don't see that happening. Like, sure, you can let someone go from a job, but that is too far. Like, that, like saying to somebody, sorry, this isn't really working out, I'm gonna find another contractor or whatever. That's too much of a jump to then have that person vandalize your child's grave. I don't think that is possible. And then nurse A, again, like, there have been stories in the news about, you know, terrible practice within hospitals and stuff. Of course, we had that one a couple of years ago now, but again, I don't think this is very likely at all. So I think, therefore, out of all the suspects, it has to be C. So that is what I would go for. Let me know in the comments what you think. Again, I apologize in a way that we don't have an answer to this, but I'm also quite happy because it means that it stopped, I think. So yeah, let me know what you think. Interested as always to hear your thoughts, but we're going to leave it there. What a crazy story. I mean, that is a sickening story. Some of the letters and notes left on OP's child's grave, just like, I don't think I've ever read anything like that, with like that much hatred. Like, a kid had cancer and died. It's unbelievable. Let's leave it there. Thanks guys for watching and listening. As always, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll catch you on the next one.